first night, that first blast.
It's unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life. It's really, there's not even any words really to describe it. It's a feeling so intense and so pleasurable. The first hit, to me, was so immense and so unlike anything I'd ever had in my life. It's just something you can't really describe.
Started as a plant up on this island, or was it in the mountains? Regardless, I was hiding. They grind me up, made me to the pace. Then they add the sauce, dry me to the dust. I dare you touch me when your mask is off. Contact, break me up, skin tone cognac. I'm good everywhere. Trailer parks to the projects. You shitting me, cold nigga. Promise you gon' get the sleeves. Soul food, get the spoon. Auntie, take a hit of me. They don't know. 10 grand easy if you shave or oh. Take some off as I'm on. I promise, baby, they won't know. I'm super strong. They get online, there ain't no computer on. They told me Ray wrote about me. Forgive me, I ain't hear the song. They say that I'm responsible for that, Ian. How dare they disrespect my name? They treated me like medicine. Ingrates, I make new friends every time niggas get a first taste. They start off in euphoria and end up in the worst shape. I don't get it. All I did was be myself. Nobody said to make me liquid. Now I'm in this needle shit. You might as well just go on with it. Now I'm in this needle shit. You might as well just go on with it. Dope.
I got fish scaled like a Pisces. In a good drought, I get pricey. If you stomp me out, you can quadruple. I be ice white like Nikes. I be brick solid, I be cotton soft. Dope boys in the Ziploc. If your wrist game kinda insane, get a Pyrex. I'ma get locked, straight locked. Fender benders in the chop shop. Right now I'm with the middleman, headed towards the Miami docks. Icy like the Mighty Ducks. Warm the plate up, then you line me up. Haul up 100 or do the key pumps. What's the street price? Like 35? I'm on some new shit. You can cop clean or the dirty kind. If you snort a gram, that's a murder line. Chase that with the 42, but don't blame me for your kill spree and you end up doing 42. I'm the same shit that made Scarface do his boy in. They call me white girl, snow bunny, big year. I grew up as a coca leaf. Nobody told you make me powder. Now you gotta deal with it. I got the power. Dope. Now you gotta deal with it. I got the power. Killer. Freeze frame, peep the imagery. Imagine if niggas really was who they pretend to be. Look, I run my city like the Flannerys. Y'all fucking up the game, small as you killing me. I ain't tripping about no smoke. I got a chimichurri on a skirt steak. Every day my birthday, big cake. Level up and get your shit straight. I got something outside with no mileage and some templates. Brand new, the bitch in the past just smell like can too. Mini Gucci bag with the bamboo, she killing them. Postpartum, it was killing her. But her bounce back game was so heavy I had to mention her. And not to mention, I smell like Sherm in the Ventus. Where I just left, you get the picture. Come through in the summer and cancel Christmas. Handle bars on the chop pop willies. This bitch a fixie.
Right.
Killer.
Just me and the pack, we in a two-seater. Get money, stop chatting, you can't do either.
Niggas ain't dope, never move needles. Slow it down like walking a 2-liter. Got 2 eaters in a Ritz suite. Champagne rich sweet. Can't change history. Take it back like dropping a box down in Poughkeepsie. The triple what was risky. Cops pulled us over, but my white boy, nerdy as fuck, whistling Dixie. Don Julio in a Dixie cup. I'm a 4th letter boy, you can't mix me up. It's a big shipment dropping, little pick me up. Really? And legend has it, I drop a box like I never had it. Make a round trip, hella savage. Plug love me, we on the same page. You be telepathic, right? So your commentary never mattered.
It's a square, green like a Newport box. I got the biggest European and it threw off cops. Work mixed with talent, perks in the balance. I ain't ducking no taco, whoa, I'm thirst for the challenge. With a red bone horse and a leg so soft. Getting bread, oh Lord, and the feds don't cross. Planning for my future while I'm tanning in the Hoover. Few places for the hustlers and some cannons for my shooters. Chopper full of purple, whole outfit come from Virgil. Silver bottle with a cleat, and I'm popping for my circle with a medicated limb. Watch me regulate the tech. Look the devil in his eyes and I ain't never make a flinch. Predator jackets plus a lot of war tactics. Took a player off the bench, went and got him more active. Shoot the fucking rock, whoa! Yeah, I took a player off the bench and went and got him more active.
All I ever wanted was some motherfucking peace. And never would I thought that I'd be captured by the beast. Convicted in this motherfucking life, living solitaire. Looking for a father figure, but there's no one there. Can anybody help the big spook cause I'm sinking? Blame it on the motherfucking Hennessy I'm drinking. And everybody says, see what shit that I be smoking. But I can give a fuck because a nigga heartbroken. So when you see a nigga like the spook, get to stepping. Because I pack a fully automatic loaded weapon. And if you get to tripping, it's gonna be brains everywhere. And I hate to have to do you all like that there. Cause I be digging ditches for these fools and these bitches. I pack the type of heat to make these niggas shit they britches. Cause every time I turn around, a nigga end up dead. And after that, a motherfucking epic.
See the motion like I'm running in place. Come running through this bread, got me running in place. Top of the morning, it's the same grind. Check my emails and bank accounts, and then I call the main line. I run a cold program, even off no grams, no rap before 9 a.m. That's all slow jams. Treadmill, 10 miles, running in place. I'm marathon winded, you just stuck in a race. Look, I'm at my own pace, in my own lane, running with blinders on. In 1 week, 3 different time zones. That's what we grind for to get your shine on. But first you stack long enough to leave a milestone. He on smooth as Tony Stark while he's penthouse chillin'. Sober living used to be higher than penthouse ceilings. 40 Smith & Wesson, classic like posters with Kemp in it. I'm psych riding, sliding through Venice Beach. Fuck the world, it's not a figure of speech. Feel like I'm running in place and I got 2 left feet. In and out of state, still is feeling like I'm running in place. Machine in motion like I'm running in place. Running through this cake, got me running in place. Machine in motion, we ain't running in place. I ain't stopped since the ball dropped. And if I drop the ball now, who gon' hold me down? I'm the main character in this movie, who gon' save me? I'm the boss. If I don't grind, who gon' pay me? Your account's looking good, but they still in the red. It's gone before I get it, don't count chickens as eggs. More money, more problems, shit it is what it is. That's like tripping on buying gas, you just bust your bins. Keep your head to the sky, proud of polarized lens. Still might catch me on any night, splurging with lady friends, no regrets. But I still wake up like ain't that about a bitch. I still gotta pay rent. Yeah, you had a solid run, but tell me how far it went. Longevity, that's the heaviest bar yet. On your march, set, go. The bar set, you gotta keep this shit up and running. Who needs rest? Killer. In and out of state, still is feeling like I'm running in place. Machine in motion like I'm running in place. Running through this cake, got me running in place. Machine in motion, we ain't running in place. Count money under street lights, a hell of a feeling. Getting money under street lights, I made me a killing. Getting money under street lights, I went and bust me a hole. That bitch ain't come with a ceiling. Them street lights lead you right to a lick. Under them street lights, them hot dice did tricks. Under street lights, there sits a Figaro pimp. It's a gold mine, up and down that Figaro strip. Under street lights, dirty needles and nose drip. Niggas set up tents, running through pores and whole zips. Cold-hearted, chrome harder, cold nights. Niggas under street lights, even in daylight. Balenciaga's hanging from the wire, he lost his life. Under street lights, another candlelight. 38 spinning, let's Wheel of Fortune, go Vanna White. The price of uppers and downers be high as street lights. Bullet holes the size of key limes. Street light on top of the chopper, this bitch knee high. He lost his key fob running under them street lights. Ducking the fraud case, been running from the black and whites for 3 years. Left behind 3 kids, one of them grown now. He just did a bid, he got caught up under them street lights.
Y'all bear with me, I gotta shake that back out of my mind. I can't believe motherfucker just sat there and did damn near a whole segment. Motherfucker couldn't even hear me. That's why it's important I keep my volumes so they can see them. All right. But with that being said, we back where we started from. So, DDG and motherfucking Halle Bailey. Man, I gave out so much good game. Hey, I try to remember shit. But in any event, man, it's simple as it need to be on this DDG Halle Bailey shit. Most of us, if you've been on the internet, you seen a couple weeks ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago now, however long it was when she filed a restraining order and the custody, put all her legal motions in play to keep him from his child. In the court of public opinion, you know what I mean, convicted him. He was guilty, you know what I mean? And his people, they came out to his defense, tried to say, no, that's not what happened, that's not what happened. Then other motherfuckers on the internet tomorrow, y'all shut up, mind your business, don't be speaking on them folks shit. You know what I mean? That's neither here nor there. But it's almost like what they any defenses motherfucker had, like motherfuckers trying to neutralize, and the only people he had to defend him was people like Flacco, Deshae Frost, and DJ Academics, weird motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Not the type of people that you typically want defending you. But he ain't really say much, you know what I mean? But then just this past over the past few days, I guess they was preparing their legal documents or their motions, whatever, and they finally put them in play. And excuse me, she had a restraining order against him, so now he needs a restraining order against her. And he put some family court motions in place as well. I'm saying it that way because I don't know the exact names, what the fuck they were, but they were family court measures for shit for parental custodial rights and shit. The judge looking at it like, okay, but as far as the family shit, this looked like tit for tat. This like some back and forth. Oh, she hit me, or who hit who first type shit. You know what I mean? Because you got to think about it from a judge perspective. They sit on that stand, they see, they know the legal process, they know how it's supposed to work, and they know what you got to do in order to do this, and how motherfuckers understand it and to try to follow that shit like a instructional step 1, step 2, step 3 process. So, and they see through that shit, and if it has to hold up, it has to hold up. But a lot of times discernment comes into play a lot more than most people would realize, probably even more than we would want. But in any event, they not really looking at the family. They're gonna figure out the family part. Won't be no immediate actions, because basically what Mike Epps say, whoever get the phone first, the other one going to jail. So in this case, whoever get to tell their side first is the side that's getting sold. You know what I mean? In these particular spaces, especially when you're a woman, especially when you come from the background of influence like someone such as her. You see how you got to be careful when you're speaking. When you're talking about certain people with background, you know what I'm saying? I don't want no problem with them. And And you got to cover that up. I don't say that to say that you're some evil, wicked people that's, you know what I mean, to be feared and no shit. But let me just be quiet because now I'm talking to circles and it explains itself. I think y'all know who I'm talking about. But that's who they got in their corner. So in any event, he comes out and he releases his motions. So they say we ain't dealing with the family shit. But on the criminal side, you want to be she filed a restraining order against you saying that she don't want you around. She want to make sure that you're legally can't be around her. Cool. And you want to do the same thing? Well, shit, that's perfect. That just all that motherfuckers don't either one of y'all want to be around each other. We can put that in documentation. But there's other shit involving a small child and all that. That has to be litigated. Naturally so. Now, we've been through this. We watched all this shit earlier, but I'm gonna play it because y'all, I don't think y'all even got to hear it because, oh man, bear with me, man. It's a work in progress, man. Keep in mind this is episode 5. You know what I mean? Not episode 25 or 105. But we gonna go back through it, and we only gonna watch this first one this time because it did come out that Wack. Well, I tried to watch Wack and let Wack give his opinion on it because, you know, sometimes he can be informative, but he went into his bullshit about, oh, you know, we know him because we gave him his first, all this, you know what he does, where he try to make himself be more involved than what a motherfucker really is. And we just got up out of there. We're not going to go back there either. So even though DDG is in the thumbnail, this will be a short segment on him. Well, if you're watching it live, it's longer, but on the playback, I got a clip like 20 minutes out of this shit that was just muted audio. But we're going to play this little quick one just to bring us up to speed on that. And then from there, we're going to talk about 1090 steaks.
I serve DDG. They got me up here like I'm in the story. DDG Academics. Halle's is setting DDG up to die. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think when it comes to you know, if you a dude, especially like for example with me, shit. DDG granted. Okay, so his TRO is granted. So his TRO is granted. They gotta serve. It says, all right, okay. DDG attorney released the following statement to XXL, opposing the prior reports that the rapper was denied a temporary restraining order. Again, yeah, that was erroneous, but they denied his emergency motion. That's a fact. So the kid's still going to Italy. Both of them have restraining orders against each other. See, that was weird to deny. If one person says the other person shouldn't hit me up, and then the other person says, well, tell that person not to hit me up, you should grant both of their motions to figure it out. We now find out that's happened. What they have denied is that they're not going to stop the mom from bringing the kid to Italy. The court has granted Mr. Granberry a temporary restraining order based on the serious allegations set forth in the application. The issuance of this order reflects the court's findings that there is sufficient cause to provide immediate legal protection while the matters proceed. At this time, custody-related issues remain pending. So basically, and they're talking about their loss. Pending means they're not stopping Halle from bringing the kid to Italy.
All right, you fat chipmunk looking motherfucker. I can take it from here. So the court granted Mr. Granberry a temporary restraining order based on the serious allegations set forth in this application. Like I was saying earlier, you want to pursue criminal motions. All right, cool. But as far as the family motions, we're set on that, and that'll get litigated once court dates arise. And then at this time, custody-related issues. Oh shit! I just kept reading. Custody-related issues remain pending and are subject to a full evidentiary hearing, where both parties will have the opportunity to present their claims and defenses. Mr. Granberry remains committed to appropriate legal channels, not the court of public opinion. Now, y'all missed this part, but what I was saying earlier was that to live in America, to navigate, to interface properly in this country, you have to know how to double speak. You have to know how to talk out of both sides of your mouth. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing. I'm not saying that it makes you a good person. It doesn't. But that's just the that's way that this country operates. Krishnamurti had a saying, well, whatever the fuck you call it, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a sick society. And it never hits more truer than in this country. And I'm saying it because, like I say, they telling you in this last statement that all this needs to be handled in the courts and not in the courts of public opinion. Now, this statement itself is an appeal to the public opinion. You know what I mean? While it's also for this ain't got shit to do with legal channels. They don't give a fuck about this goddamn mess. It just ain't got nothing to do with nobody but the public opinion. So you release a public statement to the public saying that this ain't got nothing to do with the public. You know what I mean? It's just a double speak. You know what I mean? And I wish this shit wasn't muted out. I got to find a way to fix that because I spoke well to whatever. But we're going to get up out of there. Because what this comes back to is we're going to see, because we don't know. We don't really know what's going on. And we missed this part earlier too. But what I was saying was we all human. All humans should be given the grace of being a human. And when I say that, what I mean is everybody fucks up. And when I say that, I'm not speaking to specific moments of fuck ups in either of their cases, but we all humans are subject to them. All humans will fuck up. But what'll happen is when you have a situation, when you're in a relationship, and that's private, mostly private, even though you bring it to even if you know what I mean, do smile in front of the cameras or people know that is going on. Once it's public opinion, when you bring it to the public, now the public can comment on it, commentate on it, you know? So if it's all good, motherfuckers gonna say, oh, they putting up a front. You know what I mean? If it's all bad, motherfuckers will be like, oh, they terrible for each other. You know what I mean? In any capacity, once you put that shit in front of the masses' faces, now the masses gonna have opinions on it. You know what I mean? And I only said that to just preface that and say, you gotta give people grace because everybody fuck up. You know what I mean? Luckily, most people, I don't say luckily, but fortunately, most motherfuckers ain't as famous as them. So when you and your lover get into some bullshit, or when she ain't letting you see your kids, or when you, whatever the fuck it is, you know what I mean? Don't nobody really know about that except for maybe the people on your Facebook. You know what I mean? If you silly enough to put that shit there, you get what I'm saying? But it's the same shit, just on a microcosm. This is a bigger scale of what happens when you bring your personal life, when you subjugate your personal life to public. You know the word I'm looking for. But we're gonna get off of that, man. Next, I want to talk about United States, and specifically, I don't know if y'all know who this dude is. This is dude on YouTube named Byron Blake. He run a cold channel. Lately, it seems like it's he dropped one a day. How Drake used lies. Oh, you know what? Hey, we finna do a couple of these, so I hope y'all ready, because we about to react to two of bro's videos. I would definitely, because 1090 Snakes, what was it, like 2017, 2018, whenever the fuck it was, maybe even 19, when 23-1, I don't know if y'all remember that channel, Lockdown 23-1, it was this white dude from prison over there on the East Coast. He had a prison channel where he would interview motherfuckers that had just been locked up. And Jake was his first one that he brought on there and blew up. You know what I mean? Became who he is, way bigger than 23-1 ever became. But as time goes on, and when I first heard him, initially I thought something was off. Just the energy, just the appearance, how he talked, it was demeanor. It said something was off. But over time, just hearing them out more and more, listening to the whole thing, I kind of bought into it initially. When I say bought into it, I mean, okay, he is who he say he is. over time, more information and more details come out to kind of reveal and undo that. You know, I never really looked at it the same way after it was presented in the through the correct lens. Dude, well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let the video play so they can unpack it, because I don't want to be restating shit. But first, what really got me on him right now, like I said, I'm not GD. I'm not from the folk nation. None of that. That doesn't, him attacking him mostly doesn't impact me outside of the fact that you attacking black elders. You know what I mean? And we're gonna get into it. I got some comments, but I know Byron gonna say some shit during the video that I can pause and speak to it there. So I'm gonna let him get going. But hey, man, he been coming with him. We definitely gonna watch this. Matter of fact, let's start here. We is gonna start here.
Back just so you can fully understand. His career was launched after an interview with Lockdown position as over the past few years, 1090 Jake has found himself in a position as the final authority when it comes to breaking down the paperwork of cases related to hip-hop and hip-hop artists. His career was launched after an interview with Lockdown 23-1, in which he told many gruesome prison stories, one of which was the tale of how he got his face slashed by the GDs for refusing to accept another member of the Bloods. Now, I consider myself a pretty good listener. So one day, while listening to Jake tell this story on Vlad TV's platform, I noticed that it was different from the first time that he originally told the story. So on today's episode of 1090 Jake Exposed, we will once again take a look at his interview on Lockdown 23-1 and break down his story. Now let's get to it. During this interview, Jake would not only tell the story of what led up to him allegedly getting his face slashed, but he would also tell the story of how it happened, specifically detailing where he was positioned and where other people were positioned in an attempt to explain how someone was able to come up behind him and slash his face, allegedly. And that's to be expected when telling a story. You know, you want to give specific details. It makes the story more graphic. And to be honest, it's this graphic storytelling that helped catapult Jake to the next level. But let's listen to this story.
And push come to shove, we was on the top tier in my block. We got to go down the stairs. So all the GDs, they all lining up behind me. There's no way I'm going to make it to the back of the line. They're not going to let me, more or less. And the fake blood is in the very back of the line. I'm naive. I've never been hit up at this point. You know what I mean? I've never been touched by nobody except fighting. So when we get to the stairs, mind you, I'm limping down the stairs. All of a sudden, I feel something just touch me.
Now, in this version of the story, Jake says that the GDs were all in line behind him, not allowing him to get in line behind them. And that...
All right, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna drop this in there real quick. I don't know if they're gonna touch on it, but I can speak to this. Bloods, Crips, they do whatever they want to do when it comes to put motherfuckers down and shit. But GD, Vice Lord, BD, Stone, Folk Hunter, Cobra, all that shit. No, you can't be. There's some ethnic clearances that you have to make to be a part of these. You know what I mean? It ain't no shortcuts to it. If you're white, you can't be no GD. You could be a royal. You know what I'm saying? But you can't be no GD. Basically, from a perspective of a white street dude who want to be down with black gangs, it's not hard for a white one to have some to have a prejudice, to feel some type of way about GDs or any other people or folk nations.
The guy who allegedly cut him was all the way behind them. In this version of the story, Jake sounds like he was completely aware of his surroundings. He knew where everybody was and was keeping his eye on things just in case something popped off. Also, keep in mind that Jake is claiming that all of this started because there was a hit put out on him for refusing to click up with the GDs and for refusing to accept another guy as a member of the Bloods. Now, let's listen to the version of this story that he told during his interview with Vlad TV.
So he puts the hit out. The next morning when we're going to chow, I got a raise and everything, so I'm ready for whatever. I'm coming down the stairs. All the GDs are in front of me. They're like 10 deep. And there was some other people behind me. I didn't see the kid come out of his cell, so I didn't know where he was at. I start coming down the stairs. I just feel a swipe. So I felt air.
Hey, I'm gonna get right back to it, but I just want y'all to know he telling somebody else's story. This was never his story. He's telling somebody else's story, and we're gonna get that later.
Inside of my face, where I've never felt it before. So I knew something was up.
In this version of the story, Jake is claiming that the GDs were all in line in front of him, and the other guy who allegedly cut him was nowhere in sight. He didn't even see this guy come out of his room. That doesn't sound like the same situational awareness that he had in the first version of this story. I want to play these two clips back to back just so you can fully understand how big of a leap this is in storytelling. And then I'm gonna break that part down too. But let me run these two clips back to back for y'all.
And push come to shove, we was on the top tier in I block. We got to go down the stairs. So all the GDs, they all lining up behind me. There's no way I'm going to make it to the back of the line. They're not going to let me, more or less. And the fake blood is in the very back of the line. I'm naive. I've never been hit up at this point. You know what I mean? I've never been touched by nobody except fighting. So when we get to the stairs, mind you, I'm limping down the stairs. All of a sudden, I feel something just touch me. So he puts the hit out. The next morning when we're going to chow, I got a raise and everything, so I'm ready for whatever. I'm coming down the stairs. All the GDs are in front of me. They're like 10 deep. And there was some other people behind me. I didn't see the kid come out of his cell, so I didn't know where he was at. I start coming down the stairs. I just feel a swipe. So I felt air inside of my face where I've never felt it before. So I knew something was up.
If you ask me, this example of how Jake tells his stories is a perfect example of how he was able to catapult himself using the Lockdown 23-in-1 platform. I don't believe that Josh or Death or whatever he likes to be called, no disrespect to him, I like his platform, but I don't believe that he...
Yeah, shout out to Death, man. I don't know if y'all used to watch Lockdown 23-in-1, man. That's one of the white boys I fuck with him tough, man. I liked him, man. I ain't gonna say I hate nothing, but I don't know what happened to him. He was the one responsible for bringing all these motherfuckers to the forefront. He put a lot of motherfuckers on. Big Hurt. He put so many motherfuckers on. And I salute that for him. This ain't about that. This is about how 1090 Jake used his platform to manipulate him and the internet.
Was facilitating these lies. I believe that Jake had already told these stories.
Hey, and again, if y'all ain't already subscribed to Byron Blake, man, check him out, bro. He don't just be on 1090 Jake. He be on a lot of real shit, but he breaks shit down. He gets the details. Fuck with him.
Once before to somebody, and they had questions that made him change certain details in the story, such as him saying that all of the GDs lined up behind him and that the guy who allegedly slashed him lined up behind them. Anybody with common sense is going to say, well, if you knew these guys had a hit out on you, why would you allow all of them to line up behind you? I believe this is why he took the time out of telling the story to explain to Josh why he allowed them to get behind him. He's saying, oh, I'm naive. I've never been touched before. This has never happened to me, so I didn't think that it would happen.
So all the GDs, they all lining up behind me. There's no way I'm going to make it to the back of the line. They're not going to let me, more or less. And the fake blood is in the very back of the line. I'm naive. I've never been hit up at this point. You know what I mean? I've never been touched.
How motherfucker not gonna let you be in the back of the line? Hey, yeah. The more you got pay, you got to pay attention when motherfuckers be talking. And I should have had the same level of discernment, but see, yeah. We ain't gonna go down that rabbit hole.
Nobody except fighting.
If you've ever listened to somebody tell a story, a long story or a graphic story, then you know that at times they will try to give you details that will prevent you from asking certain questions. So I feel like Jake was trying to make sure he filled in that gap of explaining why he would allow people who had a hit on him to get behind him. And at some point, somebody probably said, well, if you knew they had a hit out on you, why didn't you just come out of the cell and pop off? Why would you come out and let all these guys get themselves in positions and basically set this up? Why not just come out and pop off? You a hardcore criminal. You just came from Sumter. Y'all was extorting people and poking people. And I have to.
That's kind of, you know what I mean? What you mean they didn't let you go to the back of the line? They didn't let you go where you wanted to go. Well, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? They kind of say it all. You know what I mean? You got to go with your move. Obviously you got to go with your move, but when your move, the method of your move don't seem available, then you got to pivot and make another move. Okay, you go out here and these motherfuckers clearly not finna allow you to get to the back of the line or whatever this shit is. Then at that point, then you know you finna get assaulted and you just being a sitting duck right there. Like I say, at the root of it, this is not his story. This is somebody else's story. while we going through, we just gonna unpack these lies. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Say that when you are talking about prison and the prison lifestyle, this is a very logical question. I don't see any convict who knows that there is a hit out on him coming out and just going and getting in line, standing next to the same guys who put the hit out on him. If you holler out you got a hit, when that door roll, you better be ready for action, because a real convict is coming out and getting it cracking. He popping off right there. He's not waiting on it. And I believe that somebody around Jake told him this or had a conversation with him about this, saying, hey, bro, that story don't sound right. This is what should have happened, or this is what you should have did. And now he knows that the next time he tells this story, he has to change some things in order to make his story sound more like a real convict story and not like some make-believe fairy tale, which is why he says in the second version, all of the GDs were in front of me and I didn't know where the other guy was, trying to make it sound like, well, I had my eyes on all of them. I had them in front of me. I didn't let nobody get behind me. I just didn't know where this guy was at.
Hey, hold on. I don't know if look in the chat. It's Pino dude. I don't know if y'all know who that is, but Pino, I mean, he a snitch according to the paperwork and the shit that was hit the internet and all that. But Pino was the Crip from Florida who he was beefing with, who 1090 was beefing with when he first came out. Because Pino was like, man, nigga, you ain't that. All this shit he's saying is a lie. And they got into it for a minute. And next thing you know, Pino popped up there in Boston on him and whooped his ass too, on camera, on 1090's live. Like I say, he a weirdo. He got his own situations, but he in the comments. It's worth noting. That's all.
Because I never saw him come out of his cell.
So he puts the hit out. The next morning when we're going to chow, I got a razor and everything, so I'm ready for whatever. I'm coming down the stairs. All the GDs are in front of me. They're like 10 deep. And there was some other people behind me. I didn't see the kick.
You can't be ready for whatever. You can't be ready for whatever. And you know it's a hit on you and you going to get in the middle of the line. You can't be ready for whatever if you know it's a hit on you and you don't get cracking. You don't just get cracking. You know what I mean? But like I say, when we get where we're going, we're going to find out this ain't even his story. Like I said, this is a premiere. I didn't watch this before or nothing. I'm a little more familiar with 1090 Fake's story than perhaps the audience here, my audience here.
Come out of his cell, so I didn't know where he was at.
In my opinion, Jake was trying to avoid going to Lancaster.
Speedboat, he did cop. You right. That did happen, huh? I forgot all about that shit. I forgot about that. See, it be so much deep lore. Motherfuckers be forgetting about this shit. Adam did show that Adam was fucking with the Pino motherfucker. He sure was. Because, of course, Adam found some white gangster. Man, look, man. That's a whole, maybe we will get there, but I have to collect my thoughts for that. Yeah, Speedboat, I remember that for sure.
From Sumter, so he did one of those fake psych check-ins and tried to cut his face, and it didn't work for him. Now,
check it. I'm gonna back that up a little bit. Was that cut when he cut his face? When he tells a different story about how he cut his face to go to the psych, he don't got two face cuts on his face from where the GDs hit him up and from where he tried to go psych. He just got one. You know what I mean? That'll make more sense here in a second.
Out of his cell, so I didn't know where he was at.
In my opinion, Jake was trying to avoid going to Lancaster from Sumter, so he did one of those fake psych check-ins and tried to cut his face, and it didn't work for him. Now he has to create some gangster story to go with this face cut that he's taken to this new prison, and that's a defense mechanism. A lot of inmates do that. They show up to a prison and they tell these graphic stories about what they did to guys and have done to guys on the streets. That's a defense mechanism. It's designed to make people think you're dangerous, they should stay away from you, and this usually only happens with guys who don't have a car or who don't have a gang or a clique to align themselves with when they go into the systems. People who have a body to attach themselves to don't have this issue, because as soon as you come in, you link up with your guys and people see, hey, if he down with them, he must be official. This is how they moving around here. Jake probably told this story to a few friends and family members, and it was a hit. It came off as one of his better prison stories. And so when he had the opportunity to tell the story to Lockdown 23-1, he told it. But that large audience subjected him to more scrutiny. So reading the comments and trying to adjust the story to where it has no holes and people can't pick at it, when he goes to Vlad TV, he tells the story again, but this time he makes some changes to where people can't question the story as much. It sounds a little bit more believable. With that said, I found it even more funny that by the time Jake made it to No Jumper with this story, he had just covered all bases. No more, why did you let them get behind you? Or why did you let them get in front of you and distract you and not know where dude was at behind you? Now he covering all bases. Now the GDs was in front of him and behind him. Listen to this.
So he put a hit out.
And he did it in front of my face. I'm in the cell. I can't get out of the box. He's like, hey, I got 50 on his head right now.
Yeah.
So I'm yelling out, who gonna take the hit? Everybody's quiet. That next morning when we all lined up, the GD.
Do that even sound right? I don't know. Piggy, you from the area, from the South. I don't know if you ever been locked up or anything like that. But the idea of a black dude, not even that, participant in the black gang, saying I got 50 on this white boy head, and then the white boy saying, well, who got it? Cause I'm ready right now, and they playing out like that. It sounds good as fuck. It sounds good. It's like if you're a white boy and you know what I mean, you want to feel empowered, that sounds great. That ain't reality, my boy. And nowhere, it don't even make rational sense. You got motherfuckers that ain't got shit. You talking about he talking about he got a raise, so he ready to go right now? Man, get the fuck out of here.
He's had it. The GDs was in front of me and behind me.
Crazy, right? So yeah, I don't believe that Josh facilitated this lie. I don't believe that he was aware that Jake was going to come on his platform and lie. He might have caught on during the story that Jake was lying, but still just let him get it off. But I will state that I believe being allowed to lie on a major platform like this boosted his credibility. And as he started to grow his own platform and bring people on who were willing to lie for him and vouch for these stories, it bolstered that credibility even more. So in order to demonstrate that 1090 Jake has no credibility, that he is a person who will tell a story and embellish the story as much as he needs to, as many times as he needs to in order to make the story sound believable, I don't feel like he is the person that people should be looking to for paperwork breakdowns or to determine if another person is solid or if they're telling the truth and keeping it real or not, because obviously he hasn't been. As a person,
your whole fall-in story was cap. Y'all seen, I'm sure most motherfuckers watch 60 Days In. I think that's what it was called, 60 Days In. But you got a cover story. You got a whole backstory for why you're here and all that shit. That's what that is. This motherfucker came on you go on the prison channel, the popping prison channel at the time, with this fairy tale, you know what I'm saying? What Jay-Z say, you wrote it in your notebook. You wrote your whole lifestyle in your notebook. Whatever the fuck. But that ain't even you. So how could a motherfucker who came in the door lying be the fact checker or be the proofer, you know what I'm saying, of who's authentic? When you're not authentic. Your whole following was inauthentic. You know what I mean? I think as this goes along, I think it make it deeper. You know what I mean? And his insertion may be even more pronounced or more concerted than even than we ever could have thought, for lack of better words.
Person who has been to prison and has been through things in the streets as well, I can tell you that there are certain details of a story that you will never forget, especially when it's a story about something happening to you. In this case, it's a story about Jake getting his face slashed. You won't forget where people were standing when you got your face slashed. You won't forget where the person who did it allegedly came from when he did it, because this is a graphic memory. It sticks in your mind. You relive it over and over and over the moment that situation happened to you. We also have to highlight that it was Jake's storytelling that prompted his career. It wasn't the fact that Jake could find paperwork. He didn't get introduced to the world like that. He was introduced through his storytelling. With that said, it's kind of ironic that your job, so to speak, is telling stories and your claim to fame is telling stories and your stories being really graphic and detailed, yet somehow every time you tell the same story, the details change. If you ask me, I believe that Jake doesn't even realize sometimes that he changes the story, but he's made statements that lead me to believe that he believes his audience is so dumb that they will not catch on to him anyway. If you want to...
Hey, well, I'm going to play that again and I'm going to say what I got to say.
That he realize sometimes that he changes the story, but he's made statements that lead me to believe that he believes his audience is so dumb that they will not catch on to him anyway. If you...
Does that remind y'all of anybody? To be real with you, it reminds me of damn near everybody on this motherfucker. Whack 100, Adam 22, fucking Poetic Flacco, 1090 Fake, shit, T-Rail, Keem for the show, Bucci Bell Brandon, all that's damn near all these motherfuckers. They're so far, they deluded themselves so far to the point that they think that they fans believe this shit. And the crazy part is a lot of them do. A lot of them really do. But that was an interesting point, man. I wanted to play that. I'm gonna clip that and make that short because that resonated loudly.
You want to know why I believe that? Just watch and listen to this clip.
It is kind of a weird thing for you to put yourself into the position of being like the guy who's sort of in charge of saying who did the right thing or did the wrong thing in hip hop, right? Is that ever a lot of weight for you to take on?
Nah, because I don't really carry that weight. That's something that people try to put on me. Like, who put him in charge? Nobody put me in charge.
Yeah,
I just figured out how to
do
get
whatever
this
you
shit.
want.
Yeah, because a lot of the people that criticize what dude can't read a piece of paper. That's why you ain't in charge, because you can't read an arrest report. You don't know how to talk, never mind read. So if you could figure it out, then you could start doing what I'm doing.
Well, Jake, I'm here to say that you have run into somebody who can read and knows how to articulate themselves. I have great knowledge of the law and know how to read and interpret a police report as well. With that said,
see, yeah, Jake. See, that sounds good when you in the context of it ain't a lot of white people in black gangs and shit, so I'm unique and I'm no, motherfucker. You are a minority in a demographic that is large, unfortunately. You're a small percentage in that shit. And somehow that convinced you that there wasn't many like you. No, motherfucker. Yeah, it just take time. But and it take more time because dude, even though he got 30,000 views and his videos begin, you know what I'm saying, 50, 100K, motherfucker still ain't looking at Jake the right way. You know? Because at the same time, you got these rappers who signed to these labels who wind up throwing his name. You know what I mean? It's the plot of thicket, and I don't want to give it away too soon. We want to get there. Well, speak, wake me up when we get there.
I'm not only stating that I believe you are wrong and have been wrong on multiple occasions, but I also believe that you have been weaponizing your platform against certain individuals and companies simply because you have been under the impression that nobody can read and interpret things as well as you or will be able to speak and articulate themselves as well as you. So for the people who question why this 1090 Jake Exposed series exists, long story short, man, Jake issued the challenge and I'm just stepping up. I have documents and videos that can demonstrate that not only have you been lying to the audience, but that you are also a cooperator yourself. You have worked with the police yourself on several occasions that have led to the arrest and incarceration of individuals. When you are ready to have a healthy debate and maybe go over some of these topics and explain things from your perspective and allow me to present my paperwork and explain things from my perspective, I'm open to doing so. But until you address the real issue, which is that you are specifically targeting rappers and hip hop, and you are calling people out for being snitches when you yourself have snitched on multiple people and on multiple occasions, we got to keep this thing going, man. We're going to keep breaking you down and keep pointing this out to the people so that they don't get caught up in the madness that you are trying to create. I'm going to wrap this one up right here. This is 1090 Jake Exposed, the series. Make sure y'all like, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, subscribe to the channel, all that YouTube stuff. It's your boy Byron Blake. I'm out. If you're a fan of hip hop and a fan of rap,
make sure y'all go follow, bro. And I did that because this is the type of shit that dude 1090 Jake do. He asked motherfuckers to do, but then he cyberbullying harassment strikes. But make sure y'all go subscribe to bro channel, man. Watch his videos. Like I say, he got some quality content, man. Not just 1090. It's been 1090 lately because of 1090's attacks on actually, we still got to do that. We have to unpack him speaking on Larry Hoover, or how he's been trying to attack our elders. So should we go? We'll go this one.
And so on today's episode,
but bear with me real quick, y'all. I got pissed like a racehorse. But though, be right back with y'all. Give me 1 second.
Like pretty faces, fat asses, grip a bend steering wheel.
off on my last shit, never lacking. Keep some hollows in the magnum, shit get active. Red flag, it ain't a fashion. Living fast, speeding to the funds, ho, what's happening? Got bitches like a sorority. First hoe I had down, met her in Port Authority. Paper is my priority. Got a socket to my pocket, baby, before you get that jaw to me. Make a play like Pat Mahomes. I'm never home, chicken over the coochie, I'm on the trap-a-thon. If she with it, tell your homegirl, tag along. Make up your mind quick, study long, study wrong. Yeah, I stay 10 toes. These hands only touch bins, slam bins, doors. Blow big ass smoke out the window. Sell dope, get dough out of bimbo. I stay 10 toes. These hands only touch bins, slam bins, doors. Blow big ass smoke out the window. Sell dope, get dough out of bimbo.
Shrooms like Mario, now I feel big. One dip off the big, you might lose your wig. I never understood why they used to puff on wet, but when I heard folks spit, I said that's that shit. I spent 2 whole weeks at the Beverly Hills, betting on the Raiders, they was playing the Bills, and this is when I had snow, they was paying the bills. The Polo Lounge, I had the bungalow suite, right across from Sharon Stone while I sip my tea. Yeah.
Appreciate y'all, man. Now where were we? So we did all that, man. I had to get that one because that was good to get y'all to follow in. But now the whole reason, this was what we wanted to talk about today, what we were going to react to. So this is 1090 Jake proof he lied on Larry Hoover for contact and attacking senior citizens is his MO. And if y'all put it in the chat, let me know if y'all want to go and actually find out the story about him getting cut, about the actual person whose story that really was. Because I do need to react to it. I want to react to it. I'll either react to it on here, or maybe we'll save it for next week and we'll just do a segment on them. We'll cover that next week. If y'all let me know in the chat that y'all want to see it, that y'all want to react to that next, we'll react to it next. But if not, I'll just react to that on the 6th episode. But let's go.
So the 1090 Jake exposed, we will take a look into James Highsmith's response to 1090 Jake's video, and then 1090 Jake's response to James Highsmith. If you ask me, this is the perfect example of what I've been telling you all about 1090 Jake, which is he likes to weaponize his platform against people. He has continually expressed that he has a dislike for the GDs, and so I believe that this attack on Larry Hoover's character is a reflection of that. In the video that Jake made about Larry Hoover, he included clips of guys dancing and guys celebrating the fact that
bro, if y'all didn't just see what I just did, he don't talk that fast. I just got the playback speed sped up so we don't be here too long, and we can just get the information. But bro don't talk that fast. Just in his defense,
Larry had his sins commuted and was kind of mocking those guys for using the term Larry is free, not understanding that even if he's still incarcerated, coming from ADX, going to any other prison, not to mention a state prison where you get to move around a little more throughout the day and stuff, is freedom. You would think that one who claims to be so entrenched in the prison lifestyle and have an understanding of it would understand that, but let's keep going. What I want y'all to pay attention to is how, even though Jake claims that he did all of this research and fact-checking about this incident, he still took it upon himself to take this news article and report the situation as if Larry Hoover had actually cooperated with the police, despite the fact that there are multiple sources out there that quote James Highsmith as saying Larry Hoover did not tell on him. Some of these same sources identify Mr. Highsmith as a BD or a member of the BDs or the gang that came before the BDs. I'm not sure how accurate that information is, but I believe Jake was aware of this information and thought that maybe Mr. Highsmith would be happy for some clout, or thought that maybe the younger generation of the BDs would be happy about this storyline being put out here. And as a result of thinking that way, he expected to get a lot more support for this video than he actually got. Now, even though Jake just went on this rant about how he got 30 and realized how uncool gangbanging is, and even though he's always claimed that his videos were about sending the youth a message, in this video about Larry Hoover, he actually sounds like he is giving Mr. Highsmith praise for going into the school and shooting Larry Hoover.
Larry Hoover got shot on his first day of school. He was most likely a senior since he was 18. 2 rival gang members walked into school and shot him in front of the principal's office. That's some gangster shit. This doesn't make you look at...
Hey, now, like I say, man, y'all remember what I said about him and about why white blood allegedly wouldn't like GDs. Like I said, go back to the roots of it. Go back to this time period, man. the American black gangs, they all have rich histories. And for better or for worse, I'm not here to make it like these are just all positive movements and no shit like that, because that's the farthest thing from the truth. However, there were some significant men that were part of these movements, these nations. Very significant, very important figures, elders at this point. And when people like this guy, you know what I mean, who does what he does, and like I said, and I pause because, yeah, if you're trying to frame it like, that was gangster shit they did, just pay attention to it. And I just remember, this the same dude who, a few months ago, after what was it, Big Meech, or was it 03 Greedo? One of them motherfuckers he told on, he got pushed back from it. He said, man, well, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna stop doing this type of content because this type of content don't get me, it ain't getting me nowhere. And then he went on to say he gonna stop claiming blood. Bro, we got a lot to unpack with him, but that's not what we're gonna do here. So let's get back on track.
Chicago, like holy and like that forever. This was in the 60s. They're walking in schools with guns and popping off in the hallway. Like that in the 60s.
But instead of...
You hear this shit? Y'all hear this shit? This shit is... They love black trauma as a motherfucker. They be entertainment. You know what I mean? They get a rise out this shit. You know what I mean? It'd be like an energy drink to them.
The people in the youth from the city of Chicago being happy that he had spoken about them in this light and focusing on that, everybody came to the defense of Larry Hoover, including the person who he was accusing Larry of snitching on, which is Mr. James Highsmith. By coming out so fast and addressing this situation and debunking the theory that Larry Hoover told on him, Mr. Highsmith disrupted Jake's bag. Larry Hoover's name was dominating the headlines on this day, and pretty much this week, everybody was talking about this situation. So you got to think there's probably hundreds of millions of views being generated off of this topic. Jake expected to at least get 1 million views off of this video, in my opinion. The timing of it, the way it was dropped and titled, the promotion as far as No Jumper and all of these different blogs posting it, he expected to get 1 million views off of it, or for at least for it to be big. And Mr. Highsmith coming right out and debunking it not only slowed down the revenue, but it also damaged 1090 Jake's credibility. So what does 1090 Jake do? He responds by calling Mr. Highsmith a snitch and attempting to damage his credibility, basically attempting to weaponize his platform against Mr. Highsmith now that he has debunked the theory that Larry Hoover is a snitch, instead of just coming out and saying, hey, I got that information wrong. I went off the article, but the guy who was actually involved said that it's not true. The ironic thing is that Jake says in his video that he only wants to hear from somebody who was there or somebody that's directly tied with Larry Hoover in regards to this situation.
Now I'm going to say this.
Hey, Piggy say 1090 not safe. And you know what? You 100%. So I ain't gonna say you right. You know you right. But that's the scary part, and that's what and I feel like that's a part of it. That's a piece of the plan. You know what I mean? There's layers to it. If even on a base level, like I say, if he can get the people to feel like, not the people, if he can get hurt, or the threats, or all of that type of shit, that would reflect Larry Hoover's influence. You know what I'm saying? Which will reflect his impact on society, or if he's a danger or not. So it's like a double-edged sword. So you're right. You know what I mean? You're right. But the facts is, yeah, the fact that he ain't safe and he playing on that and he trying to break the, and he's antagonizing that is because he trying to, it's like a PC move. He playing in motherfucker's face. He like, yeah, look, Larry Hoover got power. Motherfuckers would come kill me just for speaking on this, just for making an internet video about it. That's why it's extremely important for motherfuckers to just not do that. Not do that. What going on, Gunner?
First and foremost, and with all due respect, if you weren't born in the 50s or the 60s or are a direct relative of Larry Hoover, I don't give a what you have to say.
But at the same time, he seemed pretty confident that this was...
Why he don't care? Matter of fact, who gives a fuck with... Yeah. But we getting there. His time's running up.
In fact, proof that Larry Hoover...
Motherfuckers getting found out. What's done in dark come to the light, and it just take time.
Who was a snitch, and there was not anything that anybody would be able to say to get him out of this title and this label that come with this situation.
This man was a certified smacker, leader. But unfortunately, if you go by the paperwork, he's also what? He'd be considered a snitch, right? He identified the 2 people that shot him, and they were rival gang members, and the police went to their house and got them. Now, he wasn't the only one that identified them, but he did. And there's nothing that can really, there's not an excuse for that, you know what I mean? There's nothing that somebody can say that's like, because people will say all types of things to snitching that's way less than what this is.
Imagine how Jake was feeling after saying all of that and basically confirming that Larry Hoover is a snitch just for the guy who actually did the shooting to come out and say, no, he didn't tell on me. To me, Jake's response to Mr. Highsmith proves that he had an agenda all along. It was not just about bringing out information.
Piggy say it's a play to get him back on the Supermax. Guys gonna stall him out. Always there's one that's gonna do something. Think about them when they had them Black Lives Matter marches and shit. Not marches, but the riots where the white motherfuckers with the masks and all that shit be out there tearing shit up, burning buildings and shit down. You know what I mean? You gotta think about it. Look at it from that lens too. You know what I mean? It's a cold game them motherfuckers play, man. It's a cold game. But yeah, man, it's a cold game.
And bringing people to fact shooting to come out and say, no, he didn't tell on me. To me, Jake's response to Mr. Highsmith.
Now, at the forefront of all this shit, we're going to get back into it, but remember, and this, I'm going to let Byron get there. I'm going to let him get to that point before I make it.
Proves that he had an agenda all along. It was not just about bringing out information and bringing people to facts, because the second his facts were checked, the second he was put on blast for having the wrong information, he responded with hostility. Even if Mr. Highsmith did cooperate in a case, I can't confirm nor deny because I'm not familiar with him and his situation. But even if he did, that does not change the fact that he's saying Larry Hoover did not snitch on him. The newspaper was lying.
They call it an ad hominem attack. It's a type of logical fallacy. So when somebody tells, or when you correct somebody's lie and then they pick something else, it could be truth, it could be whatever the fuck it is, but they pick something unrelated to what the fuck y'all talking about to discount or dismiss the valid point or the critique that you made. That's called an ad hominem attack, and it's a type of logical fallacy. Just, man, I try to present this shit so motherfuckers can know, because you'll experience this shit in your daily life, whether it be with your employer or your significant other, whoever the fuck it may be. You know what I mean? A lot of motherfuckers, the American way is logical fallacy by and large. But I just want to throw that in there. Let's go.
And nobody has produced any proof that Mr. Highsmith has a case and was charged. Nobody has produced any proof that Larry Hoover made a statement. Nobody has produced any proof that Mr. Highsmith was convicted as a result of this. So the end result is still 1090 Jake is wrong, no matter what other information you put out about other people. And like I said, this is just proof that Jake was not here to bring us the facts. Jake was here to tarnish the reputation and character of Larry Hoover. Because if not, what's wrong with coming out saying, hey, I had that information wrong? You want the information to be right, obviously. And this is just a continuation of what Jake has been doing all along, which is deflecting. He wants everybody else to be a snitch because he knows what he did. He knows that he told and is telling, and he knows.
Hey, I love this nigga, man. I don't know if y'all know what y'all looking at on the screen right now, but this is 1090 Jake's. That was 1090 Jake's grievance. He got his head, but when he got his head with the rock in the sock, this is his grievance. And 1090, I don't know if y'all remember this, 1090 did the whole videos like, that's a grievance. A grievance isn't paperwork, so that's not snitching. The grievance about you making a statement about a motherfucker busting your head, you know what I'm saying? That wasn't paperwork, so that's not snitching. Yet you standing on a newspaper article. Let's go.
That he will never be accepted in certain circles, no matter how hard he wants to portray himself to be that type of person. So he's attempting to just bring the whole world down. You know, and it
right.
seems like he has
That
an
was
agenda against
different.
black people, and that's because he actually loves black people. I don't think that Jake is racist. I think he's just bitter because he's not accepted in certain black communities. You could go
bitter because he not. Remember I said earlier about GDs don't accept whites, and it's not a racist thing. It's just the structure of it don't align with it. I ain't gonna say, well, yeah, that just don't align with the structure. But that's what I was talking about. Motherfuckers feel outcasted from that. And instead of just respecting that, you know what I'm saying, you really showcase how you really feel about motherfuckers when you go to attack them. You know what I mean? You don't fuck with it. Sinners. I don't know if y'all seen it. I think I might have said this already. 1090 Jake is Irish. That motherfucking vampire in Sinners is Irish. You know what I mean? Hey, man.
around some black guys who skateboard and rollerblades, and you would fit in just fine. Instead, you want to come to the trenches and try to fit in with the guys who got bodies and hustling and stuff, and that's not your crowd, bro. It's not your crowd. People can sense it a mile away. So because he's not being accepted into those type of circles, then he just continues to attack the people that he believes people in those circles idolize. He believes that guys who live like that idolize Larry Hoover. So, okay, they won't accept me. They calling me a snitch. Let me show them Larry Hoover is a snitch. It's been proven that this is his ideology. So for him to continue this claim against Larry Hoover after dude has already spoken and said that it's not true just proves that he don't care about the facts or right or wrong. He just don't like who he don't like, and he weaponizing his platform against him. With that said, man, I'm gonna wrap this up. I really just wanted to address this situation because I see everybody posting that 1090 Jake responded and called Mr. Highsmith a snitch, and I know everybody don't really do investigative journalism and stuff like that, but it should be pretty obvious that Jake is just trying to keep this content game going. The more people post, oh, now he said Highsmith was a snitch, that makes it like the Larry Hoover situation still isn't resolved. When in reality, it don't matter if Mr. Highsmith told or whatever. He said Larry didn't tell on him until you produce some paperwork proving that. That's the end of that. So I don't want people to allow him to manipulate his way out of this situation, and then we look up in 2 weeks from now, everybody watching a video about James Highsmith on 1090 Jake's channel, which is what I think. I think right now he researching James Highsmith and trying to put together a documentary about him, because people are saying, well, he said he didn't snitch. So now he can come back and say, well, y'all was acting like this dude word means something, and like he really somebody, and like he an outstanding member in the community. And the crazy part about it is Jake seems to be mistaken the amount of respect that Mr. Highsmith gets for being related to his gang activity, when in reality, all I've seen people give him praise for is his community activism now. People congratulate him and give him praise for being that type of person who was able to turn his life around and be the type of person he is now. Not to mention, both he and
Jake ain't gonna never understand on shit like that, because he doesn't fuck with that part of our culture. You know what I mean? You got your, like I say, when you deal with your whites who only fuck with black culture for the degeneracy or the illegitimacy aspects of it, those are racist. You know what I mean? They're your friends, they all that shit, but they are only there because they feel so low of themselves that they think less of us. And they think so low of themselves that it's easier to try to meet the standards of what they consider to be black than to try to meet the standards of being white. You get what I'm saying? It's some sick shit. You know what I mean? And it exposes itself in these moments when motherfuckers, like, when your former members that are influential or activists or motherfuckers is trying to help the community. See, people like 1090 Jake, they don't even believe in words like activists unless it's in the framing of like some prison reform or some shit that goes along with what he's in, with what the realm, what he's promoting, that ideology. So he'll honor that. But when it comes to like to black rights or how motherfuckers, all that, our issues, the real cultural issues, he don't got no ties to that. There's no ethereal cords. There's no attachment to that shit. So he don't give a fuck about that shit. So he ain't got, when motherfuckers say that what he's known, James Highsmith is now known for his activism and for his positive work in the communities, that he don't know that. He can only assess the shit from what he knows our culture to be and shit. Because that's all he want our culture to be. That's why when he say, oh, I'm done being a blood, because Bloods is broke and all this shit. And we're gonna get there. I said we was gonna do it on the next one, but I'm not gonna make this no 1090 Jake channel. So we're gonna get him squared away all in one day. We're gonna do this last, after this, we're gonna do this last reaction to get to the bottom of who he stole his whole identity from after this. And then we're gonna get off his ass. We rounding up. I know we got backonfigg in about an hour, and I better hurry up because I know motherfuckers gonna be gone. Let's wrap this up. We're gonna get to this last one, and then we're gonna be quick because 4 Extras ain't got a lot of content out just yet since it's a new release. But we can talk about that nasty ass Jordan jumpsuit he had on, and it's a couple components of that shit, and then we're gonna wrap it up for the day, man. But let's go. Blood Gang Bubba Sparks. Figgy.
Mr. Hoover are senior citizens. Mr. Highsmith was in his mid-40s 30 years ago. These are guys who are over 70 years old that you are targeting and calling snitches and assassinating their character and their legacy based off the fact that you have been being called out for about 6 months now for being a snitch with documentation. You have no way to respond to that, refute it, debunk it without changing your story that you've already told us. And if you change your story, then you know what that means. So you are attempting to go at these other guys and put them in that same boat in hopes that that will draw some attention off of you. But instead, it's just highlighting.
Hey, one request. Let me get,
you know, the more you
one request. When y'all, if y'all go follow and subscribe to anybody that I sent y'all to go subscribe and follow to, make sure you leave a comment over there telling them where you came from, so a motherfucker know that when I do react to that shit, it's not a parasitic thing. We actually feeding shit over to where it need to be, getting light on motherfuckers. Just want to throw that in there, man. If y'all ever, not only Byron, but anybody that I show y'all to, and y'all actually, if y'all not subscribed to them and I'm turning y'all on to somebody new, let them know where you came from. That's just as a favor to me.
Talk about who else is a snitch, the more you upset people and they just like, man, this dude is a snitch. Why he keep talking? With that said, man, look, you might want to just stop, man. You probably should just come on out and say, man, if I was you, I would come out and say, hey, I got that Larry Hoover thing wrong, and leave it at that, bro. But doubling down on it will probably hurt your audience more than you think, because you not only remove the people who are fans and followers of him, but you also showing other people that you can be wrong and not correct yourself. And whether you believe it or not, people come to you for information. Nobody's coming to you because they just like the way you look, bro. They coming for the information. So if you get a reputation for giving bad information, then, you know. So yeah, if I was you, I would come out and say, hey, man, I got that Larry Hoover thing wrong, and leave it at that. But it is what it is. The more you do stuff like you're doing, the more you friend your real agenda. Make sure y'all leave me a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, all of that YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, we got, like I said, we got one more we're gonna do. We're gonna so we can get off of this. And I ain't gonna say we'll never come back to him, but I'm trying to get to a point to where we gotta, at least everybody that's really tapped in with us, have a thorough understanding of who the fuck they dealing with. You know what I mean? I'm gonna clip this down, and it'll wind up being, after this one, I'll clip it down, and we'll have 3 different pieces of content, and hopefully these will be inclusive enough to give motherfuckers a good synopsis of who 1090 Fake is, and it'll send y'all to the platform to where y'all can get that more in-depth understanding of who this fool is. Now where was this last one? Can't take what he's dishing. That's one real reasons. Real reason he stopped claiming blood. Damn, actually there's 2 more, cause man, yeah, y'all gonna probably tap out when backonfigg, cause I got 2 more I gotta do. I have to cover how he took down Sex Money Murder, because most of y'all don't know. Wack 100 took down the 60s in LA, or he helped. And 1090 helped take down Sex Money Murder Bloods in Florida. And this ain't no bullshit. Yeah, this ain't no bullshit. We gonna get into it. Hey, Piggy, appreciate it. Yeah, we finna cook it up. I can't leave this half cooked. I can't leave this meat undone. Do we start with why he stopped claiming blood? Yeah, let's. We're gonna try this quick one. Yeah, you know what, Piggy? You right, Piggy. I'm finna go on here and cook this month. It might be 3 more. Cause it's like, we need to talk about him, how he took down Sex Money Murder. We have to talk about that. We have to talk about why he stopped claiming blood, even though that kind of go together. And then most importantly, we have to talk about whose identity he's out here portraying. Because his whole character is somebody else. He's brought on this platform. Just hang there, man. If y'all there, we gonna get there. If not, there'll be some clips up later with the full shit, but let's go.
Internet sensation 1090 Jake, aka Jacob Cherry, making his appearance on the news will mark the beginning of the end for these alleged Sex Money Murder gang members and their alleged prison drug operation. This interview will air on January 21st, 2020, and Jake will highlight K2 as the most prominent contraband.
Easy is it to get drugs in a Florida prison?
Every single compound I hit, there was all types of drugs on there, whether it's prescription pills, Molly, some spots there was cocaine and meth, but nothing more common than K2.
Jacob Cherry, a former inmate, posted the videos to YouTube.
That's a criminal talking. Allegedly, that's a convict talking. That's a motherfucker that had been incarcerated. You know what I'm saying? That's reporting. reporting to the news.
Less than 2 weeks later, on February 3rd, 2020, the Florida Department of Corrections was springing into action, performing a mass shakedown at Santa Rosa Correctional Institute. According to a Florida Department of Corrections press release, they were taking this information seriously and will be using the videos to initiate an investigation and identify the inmates and facilities involved. This investigation would unveil that one of the facilities recognized in those videos was Santa Rosa Correctional Institution. While performing this mass shakedown, correctional officers will find 2 contraband cell phones in a mop closet. Those cell phones will reveal the existence of a relationship between correctional officer Jana Wood and this inmate who the Florida Department of Corrections has recognized as a 5-star general for the Bloods. Although this information was uncovered in February of 2020, the Florida Department of Corrections still had to allow time for the investigation to run its course. So Correctional Officer Jana Wood was not arrested until June 18th of 2020. This would mark only the beginning of trouble for Sex Money Murder, as the Florida Department of Corrections would perform cell-bright data extractions on those cell phones as well. Those cell phones would also reveal that the Sex Money Murder Bloods were allegedly running a K2 operation, not just in Santa Rosa Correctional Institute, but in institutions all throughout the state of Florida. The investigation would continue into 2021, at which time the Polk County Sheriff's Office...
That'll bring us up to speed now. I'll just make sure everybody's on the same page. 1090 Jake claimed Sex Money Murder Blood, or he came home banging Sex Money Murder Blood. And he came home, and he did the investigation. It did the investigative report with the local Florida news. And then from there, that's how we got here. Just want to make sure we all on the same page, just in case anybody just not getting here.
Was advised by the Florida Department of Corrections that based on information that they had learned during this investigation, they had been monitoring emails from the JPay account of Tanisha Fisher from November to July of 2021 and had discovered the existence of a possible conspiracy to introduce K2 paper into multiple facilities in the Florida Department of Corrections. Further investigation would reveal that Tanisha Fisher, aka Lady Guns, was actually the female companion of Donahue Stevenson, aka Murda Guns, who was also incarcerated and serving his time at the Santa Rosa Correctional Institution. The department would begin monitoring mail between these two, and at some point they discovered what they believed was Donahue Stevenson instructing Tanisha Fisher to provide inmates at his facility and other facilities with K2 paper. At Columbia Correctional Institution, a greeting card that appeared to be dipped in an unidentified substance was confiscated. The sender of that greeting card had listed their name as Tanisha Fisher. And in a letter confiscated by the Florida Department of Corrections, Donahue Stevenson had written to Tanisha Fisher, "Make sure you send my nephew some cards for his birthday." The Florida Department of Corrections took this as Donahue Stevenson was instructing Tanisha Fisher to send greeting cards dipped in K2 to Columbia Correctional Institution. While investigating...
Now, I'm just slipping in here real quick. Without context, right? With just the investigative report, it don't seem like much. I mean, if you know better, it do seem like a lot. But then when you go and actually see the paperwork and what's in the paperwork and how it's directly related to it, and this goes right back to he said the main thing that's coming in there was K2. Now, I thought these was your boys. And then, oh my God, he came home, and once he got on, blew up, he really was around the higher ups of these motherfuckers, man. Stay tuned, man. I don't think this shit is over. I think we got a long ways to go. Not today. I mean, I think there's more to come.
Tanisha Fisher, authorities learned that she was close to the alleged commissioner of sex money murder in Florida, Hernando Thompson. They also learned that Tanisha Fisher was the first lady of sex money murder in Florida, aka the leader of the female faction of sex money murder. The investigation would reveal that, among other things, her title as first lady required her to collect dues from members on behalf of the gang. It would seem as though Jake had finally accomplished his mission.
I was trying to shed light on inmate deaths in the system and how many overdose deaths were being reported as natural or accidental. I was sent videos by current prisoners who couldn't get the message out, so I used my platform to be their voice.
And the Florida Department of Corrections.
Yeah, that's right. Man. See? And then a motherfucker will do a video and throw his narrative on it to make it seem like he doing some shit in favor of the inmates. The inmates told you that the K2 was the problem in there. That's what the inmates that's the message they trying to get out. That they got corrupt police, the corrupt guards and shit that they are working with, running operations with, where they get money with these motherfuckers. That's what the inmates wanted you to expose. Let's go.
had responded by bringing racketeering charges against the Sex Money Murder Bloods, alleging that Sex Money Murder and his members had conspired to introduce K2 into the Florida prison system, which was the specific drug that 1090 Jake had named as the most prominent throughout all of the compounds in Florida.
How easy is it to get drugs in a Florida prison?
Every single compound I hit, there was all types of drugs on there, whether it's prescription pills, Molly, some spots it was cocaine and meth, but nothing more common than K2.
Jacob Cherry, a former inmate, posted the videos to YouTube.
This would not mark the end of trouble for Sex Money Murder, as while investigating Tanisha Fisher and discovering that she was responsible for collecting dues, detectives would then subpoena her Cash App records, at which point they discovered that she had received payment from a guy who goes by the name of Big Jit, aka Gene Rowe. Big Jit had only recently been released from the Florida Department of Corrections in 2019 and was allegedly a documented high-ranking member of Sex Money Murder. So when investigators saw his name pop up, they knew exactly who it was. They would use this information to subpoena Big Jit's Cash App records, which would reveal that he had also collected money from other members to send to Tanisha Fisher. This would lead to the investigation of a new circle of alleged Sex Money Murder members. And in 2025, Broward County Sheriff's Office would announce that they had brought an indictment against alleged Sex Money Murder members who were stationed almost 3 hours away from Polk County, where the first round of Sex Money Murder indictments had came from. A total of 10 members were indicted this time around. Most notably, Andrew Mariano, the guy that they've had plastered all over the news for the past couple of weeks, identified as a leader among Sex Money Murder.
Ain't that something? Biggie. 60 days in like a motherfucker. He's 60 to 8. That's what I was saying. That's this whole 1090 Jake, this big blood, all that shit that he coming out here with and putting out there. All that shit was a part of the 60 days in his backstory shit. But we gonna get there. I don't know if I think we're gonna get there on the next video. We gonna get there. We gonna get there.
The 10 o'clock news, this suspected leader of a notorious violent gang in Florida has been captured in Hastings thanks to a joint effort by the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and Broward County Sheriff's Office.
Hey, and I hope, fuck, I was talking. That's who 1090 stole his story from. That's 1090 Jake right there. Who y'all looking at on the screen? Suspected gang leader arrested. If I remember, I could be wrong. If I remember right, well, we about to find out. I think that's 1090. That's the real 1090. The one who got his face slashed and all that shit and went crazy. The big blood, the white blood that turned up on the compound and shit. I remember right, it's him.
23-year-old Andrew Mariano was arrested when the two agencies raided his home. Investigators say Mariano is one of 10 suspected senior leaders of the Sex Money Murder Blood Gang known as SMM.
Big Jit would also be indicted and charged with planning or directing the activity of a criminal gang for allegedly collecting dues to send to Tanisha Fisher, which was information that they found out during the first investigation. Now, after my first set of videos, I got bombarded with questions in defense of Jake, one of which was, how do these investigations directly tie to 1090 Jake's news interview? So the purpose of this was to not only demonstrate that, but to also demonstrate that these two investigations were also directly tied to each other. I personally have no doubt in my mind that 1090 Jake is responsible for these investigations and the indictments that followed. At the same time, I don't believe that the industry just turned a blind eye to this either. I really believe that 1090 Jake was able to get away with this for so long because nobody was able to produce paperwork or, produce information about officers who had been charged. And the reason I believe that's the case is because the cooperation chain continued. After he tipped, they caught other people and those people started to cooperate, and eventually the authorities had to just wipe the trail. You also have to keep in mind that alerting the public of which officers had been charged and arrested would also be alerting the gangs that they were on to their trail. It's pretty much saying, hey, we got your people. So for the sake of not compromising the investigation and tipping anybody off, they decided to keep everything quiet, which meant that Jake would get to rock out and basically go undercover, posing as a member of the Bloods. Yet one could argue that he is single-handedly responsible for the largest operation to take down the Bloods in Florida history. I also believe that Jake was awarded and afforded certain types of opportunities in exchange for keeping quiet himself. At the end of the day, for anybody who may question what I do or what I say, the audio, the video, the paperwork, it's all self-explanatory. On that note, I'm gonna wrap this up. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe.
Hey. I knew he was a liar from the origin story, but now to this breakdown, whole operative. That's why I'm saying y'all got to go follow Byron Blake. Like I said, this is part of a series, but he do other content. But you can see, my boy do his research and he narrowing it down. A lot of motherfuckers need to know about this shit. Dude. Yeah. And he layering this shit out, he structuring it well. But this is exactly what it is. But what it just said about how that's kind of, I don't be wanting to touch this shit because I know the influence, but that's kind of what that's my thoughts on Whack 100 as well. He got a lot of very similar situation going on with this shit. I'm just not touching that one not until the ball start rolling downhill, and then we'll go dig into those most scandalous Los Angeles clips. I throw it out there. Y'all can go look into that and get a head start. But when the time comes, but that shit goes so high. I don't even want to. Until Reggie get picked up, if he ever get picked up, I'm not even touching it. But when we do get there, well, I ain't gonna say I ain't gonna touch it. It's gonna take a lot of to get me to want to go into that. But there's a lot to unpack there, and that got a lot. There's a lot of similarities in how access and shit is afforded in that situation. But from there, now we finna go. Now we need to talk about why he stopped claiming blood.
When YouTuber and self-proclaimed most popular white blood in the world, 1090 Jake, announced that he was denouncing his affiliation with the Bloods, it sent the internet into an uproar. I mean, if we being honest, being blood is pretty much 1090 Jake's whole identity and has been since he arrived on the scene. And while many commended and applauded him for displaying this quote-unquote growth, there would also be those who would question his motivation for doing so, with many more questioning whether his affiliation was ever authentic to begin with. In order to truly understand 1090 Jake's change of heart, we can't just look at the change. We have to go back a couple years and look at what prompted the change.
Cliff World, y'all gotta make sure y'all go follow Cliff World too. Cliff World be doing some cold reactions. He from I want to say Pine Bluff or Little Rock, one of them motherfuckers. But he be doing some cold shit, and he growing his channel and shit too. Definitely go tap in with him. And let him know who sent you.
1090 Jake's channel started out as a simple recounting of events that he had allegedly gone through or witnessed.
I like Sprite, my guy.
As we all know, the internet consistently reinvents itself. So the interest in those stories would eventually die down, and Jake would have to reinvent himself if he wanted to stay relevant in his YouTube space. He would try his hand at activism, covering topics such as the challenges that women face in Florida prisons, interviewing correctional officers and ex-correctional officers about things from their perspective, and even going on the news discussing contraband issues and how it's led to a high mortality rate in the Florida Department of Corrections. And while those were
now notice how his perspective, he said he was doing activism shit, but everything that all of that activism shit, his version of it, remember what I was saying earlier, it's only going to target shit that affects degeneracy, and I'm not trying to say that to put motherfuckers down, you know what I mean, because most of us come from it, you know what I mean, but it's to highlight or to normalize, like, are we trying to talk about fixing the, you know, let me back it up so he can say it again so I can articulate it a little better.
Interviewing correctional officers and ex-correctional activism eventually died down, and Jake would have to reinvent himself if he wanted to stay relevant in his YouTube space. He would try his hand at activism, covering topics such as the challenges that women face in Florida.
You want to cover the challenges that women face, and you know what I mean? Like I said, but you're a blood member though, and a white one at that, so your voice would be louder. It could be heard. You know what I mean? You gotta pay attention. But as we've been learning today, we're unpacking the reasoning. You know what I mean?
Prisons, interviewing correctional officers and ex-correctional officers about things from their perspective, and even going on the news discussing contraband issues and how it's led to a high mortality rate in the Florida Department of Corrections. And while those were positive and productive topics to speak on, they did not generate the type of income that 1090 Jake was looking to make from YouTube or that he had experienced in his original viral moments. At some point, I believe that Jake realized that controversy sells is a true statement, and this is where he decided to reinvent himself again. You see, with fame comes scrutiny. The bigger you are, the more eyes you have watching, the more people who are trying to fact check your story. And as Jake would go to these different platforms and tell stories about getting his face cut and slitting people's throat, these really violent stories, there were a lot of people who called nonsense. You see, aside from Jake's claims that he was a violent guy, there was also his claim that he was a member of a predominantly black gang known as the Bloods. And while Jake may have thought that this would bolster his credibility and make him appear as some solid guy, it actually added to the scrutiny. This would lead Jake down a path of trying to prove himself. And at some point, he would use the notoriety that he gained from YouTube to make his way into the presence of documented guys like Corey King. And at this point, Jake's message, along with his social media presence, became less about activism and more about proving that he was an actual affiliate. Slowly, the interviews with...
I remember that. I remember when he came to No Jumper with a bunch of New York Bloods, top Florida Bloods that he grew up with a bunch of reputable, well-known, the ones that he would later go on to say were broke and the reason why he's no longer claiming it. He'll get unpacked in the video, but I just want to preface, you know what I mean?
Correctional officers and ex-correctional officers turned into pictures in the projects with members and ex-members, and it went from holding up a DOC badge to throwing up gang signs. Still, there were a lot of people who were skeptical of Jake. As I said before, the Bloods were a predominantly black gang. And for years, black gangs and organizations have dealt with operations such as COINTELPRO, where white guys are sent to portray themselves as affiliates or members or guys who are down in an attempt to gain information about how that organization or gang works. And this is what a lot of people view 1090 Jake as. So he found himself in what we call a catch-22, because the more he went around these guys and attempted to portray himself as a down member, the more people would say, man, they got that white boy over there, that's some police, that's the police, y'all better watch him, he the police. And I'm not saying all white guys that hang around black people are cops, but black paranoia will definitely tell you that 9 times out of 10. It was at this point that I think Jake let the opinions of the internet get the best of him, and what seemed like a win turned into
that probably is a good part to cut in and offer a little bit of nuance on that shit, because I don't want it to get taken like a motherfucker saying that any white person that is a member of a black gang is bullshit, or they a fuck motherfucker, or they somebody like him. That's not the case. It can be for a good percentage, even if that percentage were 35%, or you know what I mean, whatever the percentage is. I'm not trying to discount any real authentic person anywhere. You know what I mean? 1090 Jake may be a terrible representation. He may give motherfuckers a bad look, shit like that. But like I say, none of this, this is about him and motherfuckers like him. This ain't about everybody, because I do know some solid down motherfuckers. Some motherfuckers that, like I say, that paranoia initially, I thought that was fool. I thought that was goofy. But as you get to know motherfuckers and see how motherfuckers rotate and how they move, and they actually are some solid individuals. So I just wanted to throw that in there, because I don't want it to come across. I don't want to give off the wrong impression. But yeah, let's go.
To a really huge L. Now, I'm not sure if Jake inserted himself into this situation because he and 6ix9ine were both claiming blood, or if he was just riding a wave of hot topics because his views were kind of low at that point. In any case, Jake would take to YouTube and discuss how he doesn't believe being a snitch will affect 6ix9ine's career, but at the same time stating that his moral code will not allow him to even listen to 6ix9ine. Fans would take to the comment section.
They like the video, chat. If you ain't liked it already, man, do me a favor, like it, man. It helped me in the algorithm. If you really fuck with it, share it somewhere. I don't know where, but share it somewhere, man. If you really fuck with it. Or the content. You ain't gotta fuck with me. You're fucking with the content.
Saying that Jake and others who were speaking on 6ix9ine were actually just like him. They didn't see a reason for 6ix9ine to be loyal to those guys. And some were even saying, hey, I believe you and 99% of the other guys who are speaking on this would do the same thing he did if put into that situation. This would cause Jake to go into another frenzy of trying to prove himself. Only this time, it wasn't just him. He had some backing. He had some members. He had guys around him vouching for his validity and credibility. Considering that we can't find, or he hasn't shown a single picture where he had this kind of backing and was moving around in these kind of groups before the launching of his YouTube channel, I believe that this backing and this social circle is what gave him the confidence.
Look at this shit, y'all. I'm gonna let him finish, but look at this photo op. This like when Bill Clinton used to kiss black babies and shit. So they gonna take this picture like this with look like upwards of 30 motherfuckers. He wants to give you he wants you to think that this how he rolling. That's the entourage. This his hood. This the people he fuck with. This the block. That ain't the case. I'm looking at it, I know this ain't the case. I'm looking at motherfuckers and I can tell, oh, that motherfucker look like he from the north. He look like he from the south. He look like he from the west. You know what I mean? These people don't even know each other. Just goof ass shit, goof ass photo opportunity.
To do what he did.
And he in the center. Get the fuck out of here.
Next, which was take on the entire music industry, the whole rap industry. Seemingly upset that people were comparing him to 6ix9ine, and possibly even more upset that although the fans clearly didn't believe him, they were name-dropping rappers like DMX as the real deal. Jake would turn his attention to the rappers.
I don't think that if 6ix9ine didn't tell, people would be saluting him. Not at all, because they still would have felt like, oh, well, he's weak, whatever. I don't think there's any change in their mind, and the fact that he snitched and he still has those supporters, they're still gonna stay there, because it doesn't affect them. But I'm interested in how it's gonna affect the music industry. Who is gonna go against their moral code, or who is gonna go against the street code that everybody swears that they abide by? And who is really going to break down the pros and the cons of doing a collaboration with him or trying to collab with him, knowing how much attention he's getting right now and weighing out the benefits? I feel like a lot of people will. And I feel that unless something tragic happens to him, nothing's going to change. He's going to be the same old 6ix9ine doing the same stunts, and he's going to keep that attention on him because he knows how to incite drama and keep the flame going.
Having gotten a taste of what it's like to cover the music industry, how profitable it is, and the attention and notoriety that comes with covering high-profile cases, Jake would continue to do so, especially after seeing the boost in his numbers. Of course, covering cases means looking over paperwork and sometimes identifying or addressing a snitch. And the fans of these rappers would go hard on Jake, telling him to mind his business, some even questioning what credentials he has to even look at the paperwork, not to mention speak on the paperwork publicly and call out somebody else for possibly cooperating. Feeling cornered by the fact that he just wasn't being accepted, Jake would make his next move a bold one. And the focus of his channel would go from prison stories and activist-type storytelling to reviewing rappers' cases, and ultimately it would just turn into exposing rappers, dropping paperwork.
Well, he said, I just want to go back to that picture and how his the rollout for the not just take a, excuse me, apologize, forgive me, y'all. Scale it back, take a step back from the close up and look at the full picture of this, him doing all these photo ops and clicking up and all, not clicking up, but linking up with reputables and all this shit. That was the rollout for lack of a better word, that was the rollout for him to begin doing this paperwork shit. That was like his validation. The shit that was gonna get motherfuckers to be like, okay, yeah, he the truth. He know what he talking about. He reputable and all this shit. You know what I mean? It's somebody back. Yeah, we're gonna go.
He did the Boston Richie situation where he exposed him. He then attempted to expose 03 Greedo. Then he turned his attention to Finesse 2 times. Then he focused on the YSL case with Young Thug and Woody. Of course, there was some financial gain, but that did not take away from the fact that Jake's motive seemed to be showing people that he was real and that these rappers who they believed in were fake. It's like he just became obsessed with proving people wrong. But don't take my word.
You were getting that just because you were curious or because you wanted to show somebody? Oh, you never got a fight in prison? Okay, I got multiple DIs. Right. The fuck you mean? I did over a year in confinement in prison. Oh, you didn't do all that? All right, with his paper. You know what I mean? So that was back when it was like, oh yeah, you were in prison, but you weren't doing this. I'm bringing on everybody I was in prison with. Right. You know what I mean? So there was nothing that you could question at that point. But I was trying to like prove myself in a sense because I was new to the YouTube shit. The fact that I can show you like, yeah, your favorite rapper that you thought was so gangster, the one that you want to be like, the whole rat.
Y'all just wait, cause we gonna get, we might get to it here. I think we gonna get to where these people that he was locked up to, how they came on his channel, locked up with, how they got on his channel, or potentially why.
Right. So it was like, you know, because that was the whole reason I started doing the snitch shit. Because in the beginning when we were doing the prison videos, like me and all the people that I brought on that I was doing time with, it always had a message with it. Like, look, we did this, don't do what we did. So then when I started doing the snitching shit, it was like, look, rap is influential. A lot of people will listen to shit and then stop wanting to do it. I mean, you can look at it with the drugs, you can look at it with the violence. Everybody, when they start rapping about 30s and switches, everybody got a 30 and a switch now. You know what I'm saying? So you can't say it isn't influential. With that being said, if you got people following in your footsteps thinking that you this super big gangster, and we showing like, look, that's not really who he is. When he got jammed up, he told. When you got jammed up, you didn't say shit. Now you got a life sentence because you thought you were a gangster like him. The whole time he ain't even that.
Jake would continue in his attempts to expose rappers and the rap game and was seemingly finding some success in doing so. Yet with each video, the target on his back got bigger because as he would expose these rappers, he was also making enemies out of their fan bases. There were also those who remembered how he started and were justifiably confused on how a person could go from being on the news talking about the operations of prison gangs and drug operations to calling other people out for being snitches. At this point, the hunt was on and several different media outlets would begin researching 1090 Jake and trying to find some type of paperwork demonstrating that he had cooperated with authorities and was not as real as he was claiming he was. Each time Jake would respond and have an excuse for the paperwork saying that it was fake or that nobody was arrested and he lied to police. And though we all know that just because a person has an excuse doesn't mean that they are excused, the fact that Jake was still in the presence of documented and real outstanding members is what kept his credibility intact. His fans would always use the excuse, well, if he's a rat, why is he around these real members? He's hanging out with real documented guys. Why are they with him if he's a rat? Just when it seemed that Jake had everything under control and was on his way all the way to the top, boom. In 2023, Jake would engage in an argument with a friend of mine over the internet, and some pretty disrespectful things were said. To be honest, Jake was not even on my radar, but based on the conversation and things that were said, my interest was sparked. Let me look into this guy. He's saying some stuff that only somebody that's really like that should be saying. Being knowledgeable of how to get paperwork, I said, hey, this guy pulling everybody paperwork, I'm gonna go pull his. But I took a different approach. Because Jake had talked so much about his prison encounters and things that he had done in prison, I wanted to go see how much of that was true.
Now it's about to get good, y'all. If you here now, make sure you like that, hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe. It's gonna get good now. Now let's figure out who Jake really is.
As opposed to trying to find some paperwork on what he had been doing out here in the streets, because it was obvious he didn't have a real criminal history, not a lengthy one anyway. What I found was that Jake had not only fabricated some of his prison stories, but that he had also snitched himself, as we see right here on this document. He wrote that on 1/16/14, I was sitting on my bunk when inmate Jimmy Horry hit me in the head with a rock and a sock. Now, in this document, Jake would go on to describe his troubles in the Florida Department of Corrections, specifically that he was being abused and intimidated by the staff, that inmates were threatening him, the staff was threatening him, and that he really needed help. He was not safe in confinement, specifically saying, "I'm being blackmailed, help me." I would then uncover another document in which Jake wrote that because he had wrote the previous document, he was being continuously threatened by staff and denied food, and was told that if he was released from confinement, that inmate he was being
Hold on. We're gonna read these. Let's read these.
Now, in 1614,
all right. On 1/16/14, I was sitting on my bunk with inmate Jimmy Horry. First name, last name. Oh shit. First name, last name, and inmate number. Jesus. But that's not paperwork because it's a grievance. He's not snitching because that's a grievance. 1090. Okay, he hit me with a rock and a sock on my head. This was during morning shift change. The officer came in and cuffed him. They got something blanked out. He then checked all the inmates and found that Mark Cherry. Who the fuck is Mark Cherry? I thought his name was Jake Cherry. Huh? Wait. Oh, who? Wait a minute. This is getting interesting. We got to figure out who this Mark Cherry person was, because Jake Cherry is 1090 Jake. Huh. Byron. We got to figure this out. But anyways, was also assaulted. So him and at this point, what I'm gonna say, your kinfolks was also assaulted. More staff came and then cuffed me, Mark Cherry and Jerry Lewis. We were all taken to the back room of B dorm. Inmates Horry and Lewis were said to be, inmates. I was trying to see if maybe that said Horry and not Cherry, but no, it says Mark Cherry and Lewis were said to be the assaulters, and me and Mark Cherry the victims. Mark Cherry and Jake Cherry the victims. Okay. I then witnessed Sergeant Martin start beating inmate Jerry Lewis. Eventually, Sergeant Martin, Captain Sapp, Officer Cooley, and a few other officers that were called for emergency, what did that say? Traffic, beat inmate Lewis and inmate Horry. Captain Sapp then, motherfucker came, I don't know what the fuck they say, took us, can't spell, took us, I don't care, excuse me, he told us, I don't care who did what, all of you are getting charges if you write anything, but what I say, we'll beat your fucking ass till you need to go to the hospital.
I was sitting on my bunk when inmate Jimmy Horry hit me in the head with a rock and a sock. Now, in this document, Jake will go on to describe his troubles in the Florida Department of Corrections.
All right. I was then forced to write that I was assaulted and fought back in self-defense, which is untrue. Y'all hear that? Jake's testimony. This is the big blood gang. This is the big blood that was turned up on the Florida compounds. He says, I'm going to repeat this. I was then forced to write that I was assaulted and fought back. He put the fought back in quotations, in self-defense, which is untrue. Officer Cooley, who wrote me a DR, possession of a weapon and assault on an inmate, lied in both statements. He says he witnessed me assault with a lock tied to a sock. That he witnessed him being assaulted, and says I struck another inmate with a, damn man, this motherfucker can't read for shit. I mean, now I can read. I can't read. That ain't what I meant to say. He can't write for shit. A rock in my hand. I was clearly hit with the rock, which broke off my head in a piece and spread pebbles of asphalt all over the property. I am a victim in this case. This is in his grievance, y'all. I am a victim in this case. I was assaulted by an inmate and then threatened and blackmailed by staff. This is the second grievance I've written, and I believe the first was thrown out by an officer. I have informed my family, who will be contacting Tallahassee, whatever, investigator, and getting a lawyer. Released. If I am not released from confinement, I have been assaulted, threatened, blackmailed, and
Specifically that he
pending
was being
CM charges, never committed. Please help me. I can't read, Piggy. I can't read. I promise. Hey, y'all hear that though, right? This is what the big blood say. I should probably, man, I should read it. I should probably read that again so I can have a clear copy. But I ain't gonna put y'all through that. But y'all heard that. He didn't fight back. His statement was that he was assaulted and he didn't fight back. He was told that he better fight back. Yeah, this big 1090 Jake that was tearing up the compound. Now, man, I'm glad I stopped at to read that because that was some important details.
Abused and intimidated by the staff, that inmates were threatening him, the staff was threatening him, and that he really needed help. He was not safe in confinement. Specifically saying, I'm being blackmailed, help me. I would then uncover another document in which Jake wrote that because he had wrote the previous document, he was being continuously threatened by staff and denied food and was told that
we got to read these. It's like he's giving a great synopsis of what it says, but the truth is in the details. Let's get these. All right, so didn't get that wrong. Jacob Cherry. We have to figure out who the fuck Mark Cherry is. Well, I ain't gonna figure it out. That's not, I don't do really investigative or reporting, at least not just yet. I gotta hone my skills to get to that level. But we gotta figure out who the fuck Mark Cherry was, because Mark Cherry and Jacob Cherry got assaulted at the same time. We gotta figure that out. There's something there. All right.
Was released from confinement.
Inmates would attack. We're reading this. All right. Because I wrote a grievance explaining how I was threatened and blackmailed by staff, I was given DRs for no reason, and the witness to the inmates being beaten by staff, I have been threatened even more by staff, and am in the fear for my own safety. On 2/7/14, damn, my boy, less than a month later. Hey, this how I be filing grievances against my job and shit. It's how I be at HR. not this though. But hey, this how I recommend anybody. If your job play with you, this how you got to be at HR. You got to be writing them HR complaints like this. Anyway, I was beaten by staff. I have been threatened more by staff and am in fear of my own safety. On 2/7/14, I received a visit from staff who told me when I leave confinement, I will be beaten. Then my food trays were given to me, missing food and ripped apart. The staff from the main compound now have staff in confinement threatening me and taking my food. I've been told by staff they will spray me and get to me. They will spray me and set me up with weapons. I have been told if the staff cannot get to me, they will send inmates to assault me. I do not know what else to do. I'm not safe in confinement or on the main compound. Damn. My boy said he ain't even safe in PC. Now I know that's not PC, but you know, that's definitely gonna be the title. I'm not safe in confinement or on the main or on the compound. Awful lot of telling, Piggy. They will send inmates to assault me. I do not know what else to do. I'm not safe in the compound. I'm not safe in confinement or on the main compound. Don't want to be put in protective custody because I will still be in this housing unit getting threatened. Feel if I have a, what the fuck does that say?
Him. As a result, he didn't want protective custody.
Buckle. Feel if I have. I feel if I have a bunkie, I will at least have a witness. Keep writing these grievances until I am helped. I am unsafe at Lancaster CI. I have Lancaster
because that
staff
would mean he had to stay in the facility that he was at, so he wanted to get shipped out, claiming, and I quote, I am unsafe at Lancaster CI. I have Lancaster staff threatening to hurt me physically. I have reported and will keep reporting this to my family, who will be contacting Tallahassee. I have all of the names of the staff threatening me, and I am requesting to get shipped from Lancaster CI. I am not safe. I also have the date, time I was threatened, and food was taken from me. I am not safe in this facility. Please help me. Of course, this news would make.
He says, taking a video on Quad 4 at 11:50-12. I was visited, threatened at 12:30. Given an empty tray with scraps, which was slammed into my cell. Refused the tray. It's all on camera. Please help me as soon as possible. I can't live here. These are the staff threatening me. Captain Sapp, Sergeant Martin, Sergeant Harger, Sergeant Black, Officer Cooley, And Officer Gross, please help me.
Headlines. And Jake would soon find himself under the scrutiny of the same platforms that he was using to promote the fact that he had found snitch paperwork on other people, despite the fact that he had.
How about that, y'all? How about that? That's 1090 Jake, 1090 fake.
Handwritten this.
And just wait. We ain't even got to the best. Well, this is a good part. We ain't even got to the part where this ain't even him. This ain't like, that's not even his persona. We're going to get there. I think we're starting to unpack it. As we read through these grievances, shit, it's all starting to come undone. What they say, fresh cobra. I think I'm saying the fresh cobra. The woods claiming blood, right? See, you can get away with that shit down there because it's a whole different politic. But yeah, that part.
Document and obviously was in distress, he would attempt to go on these platforms and explain himself by denying that a grievance was snitch paperwork. Pretty much saying, if you want to write a statement on somebody and snitch, you have to write a statement. A grievance is just that, a grievance.
Bro, I don't know if y'all saw that shit, but at the top of it is in the grievance, you have to write a statement. That's the section where he filled out. It's a statement. It is not snitching, but you identifying people, your assaulters by name, what you did or didn't do. Saying that's not snitching. But flip side, this isn't paperwork and that's not considered snitching, but a newspaper article from over 50 years ago is justifiable confirmation of snitching. That's better than paperwork though. You know what I mean? These are the same people. And that's why it's important that we do this. And like I say, man, like this video. Make sure y'all go over there and follow Byron Blake. He do way more than just this, but he is, as you can see, his investigative reporting is exceptional.
Of course, this would spark some debate, as we all saw that Jake specifically named the inmate, but it was not that started the argument. It was the fact that he tried to argue that a general grievance is the same as a grievance in which you identify somebody as the person who attacked you, and it's not the same thing. You can snitch on toilet paper. It's still toilet paper, but what you write on it can make you a snitch. Because of the conflict that existed already, just based on the fact that the people around Jake had accepted him and had somewhat taken in a white member to the Bloods, this issue created somewhat of a deeper inner conflict, because now you got members who are saying, hey, I wouldn't have done that, that's snitching. And then you got these other guys who are cool with Jake saying, hey, he just wrote his name, he was writing up the COs, it's not that big of a deal. This would require the big homie to step in and give his opinion. Let's listen to what Corey King had to say.
So what's up, is the word I'm looking for. Have some discretion and
Now read between the lines. Read closely between the lines. It sounds to me like Corey King. Y'all don't know what Corey King is. Well, I ain't gonna say who he is. Y'all figure that out on your own. I'm not gonna do. He's trying to avoid saying something that could be used against him in the court of law, because of maybe some potentially ongoing or pending investigations.
the things you don't talk about. Only facts. Listen, do you hear me challenge that? Do you hear me challenge that? Have I felt? I'm going to use Devon. Devon talked about that. And when Devon talked about it, you didn't hear me say that about it. You know why I can't say that about it? Devon is 100% right. You can't put a nigga name in a grievance, none of that. I don't give a fuck if a nigga shot you and you ain't got time and he got time. Once you do that, that grievance still going to a file with your name to the parole board. It goes into the file with his name on it. So guess what? Parole board. So now I'm not saying he intentionally wanted to rattle the motherfucker, but yeah, he should have did that. He erred in doing so.
Why y'all think he got to be so careful about how he's trying to say this? He's saying exactly what he's saying, but he has to try to code it in a way where he's not saying specific verbiage or language that could be, you know what I mean, admissible in court in a detrimental way. Like I say, you'll have to go look up who Corey King is. You know what I mean? It won't take you too long, but I'm not gonna do that. Maybe he'll say it, or maybe they'll say it on here, but I'm just not gonna personally say that, because root of it, I don't know it to be fully true, even if it is.
Devon said it. I know I don't fuck with Devon. Clearly, he don't fuck with me. But when he said it, niggas already heard me say it behind the scene, like, yo, that's a grievance, bro. Grievances go to the administration. The administration get it. They have to record and store in the file all to and from memos, emails.
And that's exactly why we're able to read it here today. Because grievances are reports. Reports are recorded, have to be on file for however many fucking whatever the time frame is. They saying it without saying it because he gotta say it without saying it.
Letters, faxes, everything to and from, they have to store it. Why? Because this is what you call a profile and a paper trail. Anything we do, we write on black and white. They know about it. We learn about it later on. The parole board makes a hearing, and you sitting there. What? Now you know in your mind, motherfucker, like he wasn't supposed to write that.
Out of everything that stood out to me in this video, the most important was the fact that Corey King stated that behind the scenes, people had already heard him say that Grievance wasn't right. This said to me that while everybody on the internet was arguing about whether it was snitching or not snitching, the people to whom it really mattered, which was the circle of people that 1090 Jake had affiliated himself with, had already been behind the scenes discussing this, not over the internet, but behind the scenes, behind closed doors. 1090 Jake's circle had acknowledged that he was wrong, which meant that he was subject to being held accountable for that decision, and also that his backing, his security, his validity was starting to look shaky, because now that you've been exposed as a snitch, these guys are not going to be hanging around you. These guys are not going to be letting you come post up in pictures with them when your paperwork is all over the internet and they have gotten word from somebody that they trust, a person who they know has been through the system and has experience in the system. They got word from him saying, yeah, that's wrong. He wasn't supposed to do that. There would be no public outing by these guys, and Corey King would explain why.
I'm not going to that Jake rap, but that part.
Listen close. Hey, Piggy, you right. Grievances are lawful documents. That's how I say, hey, like I said, if your job is playing with you, you better use ChatGPT to draft you up motherfucking grievance. That's how you protect your shit. They are legal, lawful. You know what I'm saying? Bold letters, underscore. They mean some shit. But pay attention to what he's finna say. Listen closely. Read between the lines. He gonna say it clear, but read between the lines because he's not gonna say it explicitly.
Right there, he erred. Somebody else sent me some information of a court case and a document dealing with him, right? You didn't see me come online with it. You know why? CK don't be online trying to expose people, bro. Don't confuse what happened with me and OG Mac with what you have to do out here on the internet. What I did with OG Mac was me step to an individual whose name came up in court document, the court stamp, court seal on it, and he was associated with me. If you're associated with me, if you went around and we shooting in the gym together, then it's my responsibility and obligation to get you from around us because you're not living right and you did wrong. Devon said it. I know I don't fuck with Devon. Clearly, you don't fuck with me. But when he said it, niggas already heard me say it behind the scene, like, yo, that's a grievance, bro. Grievances go to the administration. I said, y'all know why I don't get online. And if you ask me a question, I can't do anything other than tell the truth. He fucked up with that shit. When Devon said that, I said, yo, fuck with this nigga. The nigga's 100% right.
And even though Corey King was confirming that the grievance was wrong, he was still choosing his words carefully. And he would explain why he was doing that while still making it very clear that he did not care at all how 1090 Jake felt about what he was saying.
When you put it online, you do know what to charge for that, right? You know what I mean? My thing is, you know, what's real is real, what's fake is fake. Again, I didn't call 1090 Jake a rat. And no, I'm not worried about if a nigga feeling away with what I'm saying. Fuck that nigga. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, when he said I was assaulted by and put that man's name in there, he fucked up. It was an error. He wasn't supposed to do that.
It was starting to look as if playing the paperwork game had caught up to 1090 Jake. And the more people started to question Corey King about his association with 1090 Jake, he would find himself in a position where he had to address it publicly. This meant Jake was back at square one, as he could no longer pretend to be around, as they had made it public knowledge that they had moved him around. At the same time, Jake didn't want to make this a public thing either, because that would lead to people looking into the source of the issue, and it would all lead back to this paperwork. It would be hard for Jake to argue that he didn't snitch or he isn't a rat if the word got out that his own circle had cut him off for having bad paperwork. And what would that mean for his career as a journalist in hip-hop when his whole identity had become exposing snitches? At some point, Jake decides that he's going to do this interview with Bootleg Kev, and in this interview, he's going to address maturing beyond his white blood identity. Now, as we just addressed...
Ain't that some shit? Look, he round the non-street white boy now. And look where this goes now. Now look who we are. Now, MGK did it. Post Malone did it. You know what I'm saying? You got motherfuckers who do it in different... Jim Carrey did it, who do it in different aspects of black culture and shit like that. This is maybe the first, well, I ain't gonna say it's the first time, it ain't, but well, you see motherfuckers use it with the gang shit. Well, actually, I'm tripping, Mark. No, we ain't gonna do that. All right, because I'm not sure. That's the only reason. I'm gonna look it up, and the next time I get on here, the people that he's trying to disown his affiliations, quote unquote, are to be around people. We'll get there. We're gonna listen, but we're gonna listen.
And saw Jake had been moved around, but his account would be different during this interview. During this interview, he would basically say that he became 30 years old and looked around and said, man, I'm doing better than all these guys. I need to move around. That's the clean version. I will give y'all the dirty version, but I don't want to use his clip in my video. Still, some of the things he said, a lot of the things he said came off as very disrespectful to the guys that he once recognized as big homies and big brothers. And while people mostly applauded him for his quote unquote growth, there were still a lot of people who were like, why did he have to say it like that? He would go on saying things like most of the older Bloods from New York and the original members of the East Coast Bloods are broke. My thing is, Jake makes it sound as if being 30 is too old to bang. But when you
talking about Corey King, though, and they're not broke. It's more to it than that. They don't got them snitch dollars he got from, they're not broke. They not, like I say, they not. Let me let Byron go because he kind of explains it pretty good.
Look at his timeline and you look at the people he gave praise to, guys like T. Rogers, still banging at an old age. Corey King, he pictured here with him throwing up signs. Corey King, well over 30 in this picture. When you look at even the guys he took to no jumper, come on, man, these ain't no, look at dude in that red hat, man. Dude is 40 something. So when you look around and you see that most of these guys are already in their 30s when Jake comes around them and starts hanging, it's like they wasn't too old to bang when you needed them for validation. And you cannot deny that validation and that company is what helped you reach the peak that you reached. It was this validation that took you from just another guy on YouTube telling prison stories to the guy that is going around checking everybody's paperwork and has the authority and the credibility to do so. When you take that and couple it with the fact that you yourself have bragged about paperwork being the main source of your income.
It'd be like, why you always worried about paperwork? You always talking about somebody's paperwork. Always in somebody's business speaking about paperwork. I wonder why.
It's easy to see why people feel like the stuff he said in that interview was disrespectful. And also how they could feel used after hearing you talk about how broke they are, after hearing you talk about how much money you've made off of their company. So while Jake would like us to believe that he just dropped his red flag and picked up a book and said, hey, I'm 30, I changed my life, I don't think that's the truth at all. I think he got the boot. He's just a little more comfortable in his space now. He got a little more money, so he feel like, hey, I can cut ties with whoever and I'll still be straight. But we gonna see how long that lasts, considering that he's still trying to do paperwork. After this blunder with Larry Hoover, he might be in trouble. I don't think he's gonna have a lane in that paperwork thing at all no more. Simply because he went out on a limb and tried to present the argument that Larry Hoover is a snitch and used a newspaper article as the basis for his argument. He's presenting this newspaper article like it's testimony transcripts or a police report. But this is the same guy who argued that writing a grievance, naming somebody and saying that they hit you isn't snitching. That whole argument alone tells you that Jake is either somebody who likes to move the goalpost or he isn't a person who fully understands what snitching is. And like he has to see such and such told on this person on this. He had to see it like that to know that it's snitching. He don't know how to just naturally feel and interpret like, no, that's telling right there. Even if it's subliminal.
Which I don't find that likely. It's more likely the first.
Or dry snitching as they like to call it. He don't know how to sense it, so it's obvious that he needed these guys around. He was soaking up things from these guys, not just hand signs and stuff, but actual game. You could see it in his mannerisms. The way he was talking in that interview on No Jumper is not the same way he was talking in the interview with Lockdown 23 and 1. I ain't just talking about the sound that he was making. I'm talking like the body posture and everything. Look at how he's sitting and moving in this No Jumper interview that he did after he linked up with these guys.
Blood, and then you could set Trip on really any other gang too, but it's just like putting it on my name. I went at it with more Bloods inside of prison than anyone else. We got so much numbers, we'll have inner beef. I wasn't hitting up Crips left and right, Zoes left and right. I was beefing with other Bloods. So that's where set tripping comes from.
Now compare that to just a few years before when he was on the interview on Lockdown 23 and 1 before he started hanging around those guys.
So I hope someone sees this, man, and does some kind of shit.
A lot has happened. Mind you, when I got out, I called the chaplain at Lancaster.
It's
and
the
I said,
WAP,
how can
not
you
the
claim
WAP,
to be a
Andrew.
Christian and you know exactly
What's
what's
going
going
on
on
with
at
you?
Lancaster? You know exactly what they do.
With that said, man, I'm gonna wrap this up. I just wanted to bring this to y'all. There's been a lot of talk about this whole Jake dropping his flag thing, man. I don't think he grew up. I think he got blew up.
All right, so that's that. This ain't this not the end of it, but we almost there. Now we just need the final part of this is we gonna find out exactly who 1090 Jake been portraying to be. Who did he get this image from? Who's the real 1090 Jake? Andrew, what's going on with you, man? It's the mop, not the WAP. Nope. Bear with me, y'all. There we go. Let's figure out who Cornbread was.
On today's episode of 1090 Jake Exposed, we're going to dive back down into the Tampa streets and discuss what many people who know Tampa and know 1090 Jake describe as one of 1090 Jake's worst nightmares. Now, I've never been to Tampa, but one thing that I can see is that if you really from Tampa, it don't matter if you white, black, Hispanic. The people that's from Tampa gonna know you. No matter what walk of life you come from, there's gonna be somebody from the city that can say, hey, I know this dude, I heard about him. Now, in this case, we got nobody that's vouching for 1090 Jake that's actually from the city. But this next guy that I'm gonna tell you about, a lot of people vouching for him. And that explains to me why 1090 Jake wanted to keep their encounter a secret. But enough of this talking, let's dive in. In the beginning of 1090 Jake's journey, he did this video where he covered all of his disciplinary reports and other situations he had been into while he was incarcerated. Let's watch this flashback.
Let me speed this up.
So, let's see what I did. While the officer was assigned at Q dorm, which was confinement, and conducting a security check, the officer observed me, myself, and another inmate striking each other about the blank. I don't know why they blanked it out, because if you go lower on this page, it just says the torso and the face. We were striking each other with close fists. So basically, we were just fighting in the cell, and they came, they gassed us. It wasn't nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? It was just a simple fight. 30 days of confinement for the fight. And then because of the fact that we refused to stop fighting, when they told us to stop fighting, they gassed us. So this was my second time being
Hold on.
fight.
Let's look
And
at
then
this
because
date.
of the fact...
Look at this date. Okay. Okay, that was after. Because now that we know that he stated that he was forced blackmailed to misrepresent his position on them that we know that he misrepresented his position on or what really happened in those grievances, or he was forced to. We gotta actually check the dates and times on that shit, because we know that what was it, 114 and 27, those were that's around the time of him getting fucked up, and he didn't and being forced to act to say that he defended himself even though he didn't, as he outlined it, his grievance.
that we refused to stop fighting. When they told us to stop fighting, they gassed us. So this was my second time being gassed. But it was only the little can of gas. It wasn't the big, bear can of gas that hit me with the first time, so it really wasn't that bad. And I mean, they really got the other guy more than they got me. But
Now, if you notice, Jake did not give us the specifics, the gritty, grimy details that he normally does when telling his prison stories. In fact, he kind of breezed through this one as if he really didn't want to mention it, but he had to mention it, but he didn't want to go too deep into it. He just wanted to get it over with. As evidenced by the red markings, he also personally redacted the inmate's name out of this ticket, just like he did with the Jimmy situation. When he showed us Jimmy's ticket, he personally marked Jimmy's name out, just like with this inmate, because he didn't want anybody to be able to find out who this person was, because he was lying about the way these stories went. Remember, he told us that Jimmy got his face slashed open, and that was determined to be a lie.
hit by Zoe, put a brick from the
Jimmy,
basketball court.
that's who we gotta find. I got to find. That's the story we gotta find of who Jimmy was, because Jimmy is the real Jake. That's what I'm hunting down. And if I can't find it, I hope it covers that in here. That is the last video. I'm trying to find it without going all over the place. Hopefully that'll be the next one. We'll land right. Hopefully the next one will we land on. And if that's not this one, because that's what we're trying to get to. I'm trying to find the one about Jimmy, because that is the one that tells you who 1090 Jake really is, or excuse me, who the persona of 1090 Jake comes from.
No, I was in confinement when this whole shit happened, so they had him come out, and then they hit him with a real box cutter blade, ripped this whole shit open. Wow. He back in Haiti right now. I looked him up when I got up. You looked him up? Yeah, big dumbass scar on his face.
Yeah. After 1090 Jake was exposed, when a handwritten grievance was discovered showing that he had actually written the warden and named Jimmy as the person who assaulted him with a rock and a sock, he would attempt to explain himself. Of course, he would try to flip things on Jimmy by producing a witness statement written by Jimmy that was written after 1090 Jake had already written his statement. But Jimmy's not the one who's out here calling people snitches and that was written after 1090 Jake had already written his statement, but Jimmy's not the one who's out here calling people snitches and producing paperwork. So while Jake may have thought that he was exposing Jimmy and deflecting, he actually gave us what we came for, which is proof that Jimmy was the person whose name he had personally redacted, and also that Jimmy was the person who he was referring to when he said this guy hit him over the head and got his face cut open. So when I saw that Jake had posted this disciplinary report and had personally redacted the name of the guy he was fighting,
I went and did the homework and got a copy of it myself so I can see who this guy is. Now, as you see in the top right corner, this incident happened June 15th, 2014 at the Appalachia East Unit. Let's read the non-redacted version. Inmate Cherry Jacob is being charged with 2-4 fighting, rule prohibited conduct, chapter 33-601-314. On June 15, 2014, at approximately 12:27 a.m., while assigned as Q confinement officer and conducting a security check of Q2 Quad 1, Officer K. Williams observed inmate Cherry Jacob, DC number C07652, and inmate Welch Jason, DC number T52484, in cell Q2 206, engaged in mutual combat, striking one another about the heads and upper torsos with closed fists. I repeatedly issued the two inmates verbal orders to cease their actions with no results. Inmate Cherry remains in disciplinary confinement pending the disposition of this report. The shift OIC was notified and authorized this report. Once I got this unredacted copy of the disciplinary report, I was able to look this person up and find out that it was this guy, Jason Welch, from Tampa, goes by the nickname of Cornbread. This is one of Cornbread's earlier mugshots. In fact, this...
Correction. Jason, not Jimmy. Jason. That's the one who really got sliced in the eye. That's the one who... Let's go.
Mugshot is from a 2012 conviction, which is around the time that he was incarcerated with 1090 Jake. This is the latest photo of Cornbread that we have available to us right now. According to the streets of Tampa, everybody knows Cornbread. Now, what you know him for may differ. It depends on who you're talking to. You might know him for stealing. You might know him for something else. But in the streets of Tampa, everybody knows the white boy Cornbread. He also goes by the name Cornbread Jason. So he's either Cornbread or Cornbread Jason. This is his current sentence history. I guess this is the sentence that he's on probation for. Even though he's actually fighting the case right now, this is the current sentence that he was out on parole or probation for. But if we go back and look at this again, you can see that Cornbread has a very, very lengthy criminal history. As a matter of fact, he had been doing time probably about 10 years before Jake even came into the system. According to people close to the situation, it was actually Cornbread's reputation that sparked the incident between him and Jake. See, according to this source, this was not Jake and Cornbread's first time running into each other. They had actually met in the reception center. And even though height-wise Cornbread was only 5'3", he was a solid 170 pounds. So when Jake came in the cell with this loudmouth act telling all of these stories about things that he had done in Jit camp, it triggered Cornbread, especially because he remembered the encounter that Jake had in reception.
But I locked down with Bone, the GD, and the cut, and Bone was like, hey, bro, you gotta get your TOH. I'm talking about, bro, we go at it for like 2 seconds, Bone had me yoked up like this. I can't move, I'm laid out on the floor, stretched out, beating that shit. I'm talking about the whole time we were locked down, though. So you know this is like 30 minutes or an hour. So when I came out, I'm talking about my whole stomach, ribs, and chest, like, you can see all the blood under my skin busted up. He was like,
Now, I don't know if y'all know the test of heart, the TOH, that's the test of heart. When you hit the compound or JIT camps, typically is what they talking about. There's a test of heart where your people, your car is gonna figure out if you like that. They gonna fuck you up. They're like you getting put on again type shit. You getting put on prison term, for lack of better words. I don't know if y'all just heard that, but he got a TOH by the GDs. Now, that raises two concerns. First of all, why are you getting, now if you blood, why are you getting the TOH by, you know what I'm saying, a different car? Secondly, oh, the GDs fucked you up, huh? Keep that in mind, y'all. Remember, he don't like them. He don't like GDs. Keep that in mind.
break it off, you gonna break it off? I said, yeah, I break it off. The second he let me go, I hit his ass. Boom, they went to flip me again. But we was cool as shit though, you feel me? It was just on some shit like, you gotta get one to give one, you feel me?
Now, what you just heard was Jake describing how the other guys he was allegedly cool with beat him until he was all bruised up. He calls it a TOH, but no prison that I've been to requires you to get beat on by the other inmates to prove that you are cool. This kind of puts me in the mind of the story about Bimba and Rambo slapping Jake till his mouth bloody, and he thinking it's just playing, but in reality, they was grooming him, you know. Anyway, Cornbread, who was around 24 years old at the time he and Jake were selling, he's about 5 years older than Jake. He wasn't about to let some kid who literally let these other guys beat him till he was bruised come in there and talk crazy to him in the cell. And I think Jake underestimated him, and that's where it went left. I heard Cornbread flashed out so bad that you could hear him hitting Jake 3 or 4 cells down the hall. And when the COs came and told him to stop, he still wouldn't stop, which is why they eventually ended up spraying him and why Jake said this when he was talking about it.
So this was my second time being gassed, but it was only the little can of gas. It wasn't the big, bad can of gas that hit me with the first time, so it really wasn't that bad. And I mean, they really got the other guy more than they got me. But yeah.
Well, of course they got him.
Why they get
more than they got you? He was the one that they were actually trying to stop.
Fucking you up.
Now, somebody else who was familiar with this story and actually from Tampa told me that the story that Jake tells about the young guy that he ran into who claimed he was a blood and Jake made him fold his flag and then he ran into the guy later on at another facility is actually the story of Jake and Cornbread, where Cornbread actually ran into Jake in the county and made Jake stop claiming blood and told him he's not from Tampa, and then ended up running into Jake again in a facility and told him, hey, stop claiming blood, you're not from Tampa, and then end up running into him again at ACI, and that's where he actually beat Jake up in the cell and wouldn't stop until the COs actually used mace to get him off of Jake. That's how they ended up with this disciplinary report, and according to my source, that's also how Jake ended up under Rambo. Like, he started really hanging up under Rambo after that incident happened, and then Rambo starts slapping blood into his mouth, and somehow he ends up being best friends with Bimba, who ends up slapping blood into his mouth. With that said, I'm gonna wrap this up, man. If you listening to your music on Spotify,
Hey, I still ain't found. I'm trying to dial it in. I know I need to wrap this shit up because I got to get to my motherfucker. But I don't want to wind up coming back and having to do this again. I'm really trying to unpack the Jake who the whole Jason is the real 1090. Give me 1 second. I gotta find this motherfucker, man.
1090 Jake, and why I'm saying this, take down people like, I know that 1090 Jake was front.
Matter of fact, what I think I'm gonna have to do, man. I gotta get it. I gotta go take care of shit. We gonna conclude here, man. We didn't even get the 4 extras because we had to deal with all this 1090 Jake shit, and we still didn't fully unpack it. But y'all got most of the idea. So just know, on the next stream, we gonna start it off with the last video where we get the conclusion on who 1090 Jake really is. But I think we painted a pretty good picture, man. So, like I say right now, make sure y'all like the video. Ooh, let me disconnect. Make sure y'all like the video. Subscribe if you ain't already. Go over to Byron Blake, man. If y'all appreciated us, any of these videos we was watching, man, go over there. Subscribe to his channel. Let him know who sent you. You know what I mean? And yeah, we're gonna wrap it up here. We didn't even get a chance to get the 4 extras. But what I can tell you is the same bullshit. You know what I mean? Just another segment of the year. You know what I mean? Adam, don't stop. We'll touch on that on the next one. I ain't doing no more night streams. I know how them play out, but I may tap in early tomorrow just to finish this off. Cause I don't know if y'all noticed this shit, but we pretty much doing these once a week because at least for now, until the algorithm opens up and pushes more of my shit at a time. Right now, how it is, a motherfucker, it only really push one video at a time. So if I kind of got to give it a day or two in between shit. And like I said, I'll bust this motherfucker down to my clip. So I'm gonna be running these segments over the next few days. So if you subscribe to the channel and you hear me now, the videos that you'll see uploaded between now and the next stream will just be clips of what we've discussed here. You know what I mean? Just want to put that out there. Like I say, man, I appreciate everybody for tapping in, everybody that fucked with it and supported, everybody that commented. Shout out my mods, shout out to all my new viewers, all the new subs, everybody, man. Thank you. Like I say again, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that shit, man. And until next time, we out this motherfucker.
Mopwack, what's happening with you? Mopwack, Mopwack.